Mic check, mic check. Yeah, so excellent. All right, cool. Man. Hey, all right, Black Band Broadcast. Hello, everyone. Let me switch to the PDF. Funny enough, this week they've updated SteamYard and they've allowed you to put PDFs live, but it doesn't seem to be working. So I have to go back to the old techniques. That's cool. All right, let me go. So let me make that smaller. All right, so this is the show. This is the 72nd show, Black Band Broadcast. I'm your host, Rap Raven. Just gonna do our normal start. Let me just give me 17 seconds to sort out my screens because I've got so many things open. There we go. That might be a better one. There we go. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Voila. All right. So if those are new, we have to have our traditional intros, and that's this. Unfortunately, after much research, I concluded that currently black people are collectively inadequate. This is the primus of the whole drive towards our show, acknowledging that there are some shortcomings in the black community, and we're going to do something about it. So yeah. So unfortunately, that shortcoming is being able to work effectively as a team. This is the challenge, but hopefully we're able to fix this endeavor. So we should move on. Normally we're going to be talking to lots of people. Something we try to do when we talk to people is have some kind of structure, some kind of discipline, and some kind of values, and that's why we have to input the 4D values, which is discipline, dedication, discernment, and dignity. We try to use these four things when we try to find solutions for black people. We will minimize anxiety and confusion if we can. That's very important when you talk to black people. We'll be showing some videos today that might help us understand certain things better. But let's move on from that. So that's very straightforward. Also, we cannot use any kind of derogative terms. That'll be a problem. That'll be problematic. We can just try to be constructive as possible. Use descriptive language whenever possible, please. And so what is Black Betterment? Black Betterment is black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. It's a lifestyle. So today and every day, we are promoting the lifestyle of Black Betterment. That's right, a complete lifestyle dedicated to fixing black issues. That's the solution that I push forward. That's the philosophy that I push forward. And hopefully one day, if not today, others will practice it and we'll be able to find solutions at a faster, rapid rate. All right. I'm not going to read that out. Maybe I have to. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, user point, scholarship, research, fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing non-profit educational personal use. Tips, spans, and fair use. But what that means is we're going to be using videos that's not ours, but we're using it for educational purposes and that kind of good stuff. Oh wow, very nice. All right, so what's today's topic is open discussion of black. Oh, so there you go. So it's not really a topic. It's kind of like an open discussion. There's many people who watch the show. We were away last week, but we're back this week, and there might be some people who want to talk about certain things. So by all means, we can go as long as the topic people want to talk about. I want to jump in. We can talk about any topic. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to randomly throw the link in there. Voila! Randomly throw the link in there. Dum dum dum. So they're marinate in the forums for anyone who wants to jump in. As soon as you jump in, you're welcome to jump in. Now I've got funny enough, there's a animated YouTube channel called Hip Hop Cartoons, Cartoon Hip Hop. I should really get the name of shame on me. But anyway, what this brother or sister does, I'm not sure who makes it, is they take quotations from radio shows of famous black scholars who are trying to be constructive and educate in some way, and they turn into like a vector animated animation, and that's I guess to be posted around as memes. You've probably seen it before. So what we'll do is while we wait to see if anyone wants to jump in, I've got maybe 6 or 7 of these, and we'll just listen to them. But mainly we're going to focus on a brother called Neely Junior Fuller, very good individual. He, for those who don't know, he heavily influenced Francis Cress Welskin, who I have one video of here as well. And his whole thing was trying to establish a code of conduct of how black people should operate when trying to tackle racism. And I agree with this kind of philosophy. I agree with having codes of conduct and ways of operating that's codified to help us deal with certain issues. But also, he has a very straight way of talking about certain things and a very interesting way of viewing things. So we're going to blaze in some of his cartoons that were made for him. The brother's still alive, and he still does radio interviews. And I'll see if I can find some of the links. What we're going to do is we're going to listen to some of his stuff. And if anyone wants to jump in, comment, or just talk about something, let me know. That's what it's open discussion today. So right now, I'm going to randomly click on one of these. So let's click on, because now this software we're using doesn't even label things, which is a bad UX. I've been complaining for years, but what are you going to do? Maybe if I work for them, I would fix it, or maybe we should just make a black-owned version and do away with that. But that's a future thing. Anyway, let's click on here and see what we can see. So what is this one? Rewind. So
The
it might
first
turn
one
up at
is
your end, but this is it. So we're just going to listen to some of the video and see if we can get some game from Neely Junior Fuller in this hip hop cartoon thing. This is not my work. This is a creative work. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post the link to this page as we talk. Well, feel free to jump in if you want as you press play as I find those links. Aha!
the first one is stop snitching. All right, but snitching doesn't mean what has in this world in which the white supremacists watch everything, and they will put out something in the mind of some black person who probably is already thinking about doing someone some harm, because that's what we are taught. We're taught to glorify doing harm, not doing something constructive, but doing harm. Brag about doing harm. So many people have took the
there. So one thing that we want to be getting used to when we start, trying to find solutions, is sometimes we become desensitized to things that we see every day, and there are some scholars who recognize these things and they try to highlight, and that is many of the mainstream stuff that's out there. It's very self-harming, very anti-black, very negative, very one-sided, and you tend to see this happening from from black community, more so coming out from America, which is a big media hub, but also in the UK is very influenced and does some of the stuff. All over the world is constructive stuff, but the issue you might find is, unfortunately, by not only your media outlet, other people are dictating what we are consuming. And I think this brother Neely Fuller is highlighting certain kind of code of conducts and things, ways to reverse that, to identify what's going on. So let's keep listening.
Position of snitching means you can go out and kill people or steal somebody's car or something.
See, y'all made me shoot your stupid ass over nothing. Hey, come on, man. We supposed to be brothers. Oh, what, you trying to get smart?
Now, forgive any strong language. This is obviously the amount of strong language, but it is 10 p.m.
Nigga, are you trying to kick some knowledge? Nigga, fuck that, nigga. Give me your motherfucking jury, nigga. Take that shit off. You got a pager too. You're a baller, huh? You're balling?
Or break into somebody's house, and if someone sees you doing it, they're not supposed to so-called snitch. No, that's not what it means. Snitching means you are going to do harm to someone unjustly. You go and inform someone about someone else to do harm to that person and harm that person unjustly. The person didn't do anything that warrants harm, but you go and carry a message to someone who is powerful about someone who is powerless, so that harm comes to the person that is powerless. That's what snitching is. Someone informing to the white supremacists on someone who is trying to do justice, telling them about something that the white supremacists can use.
All right, so this brother Neely Fuller just talking about, he's trying to redefine how we see certain kind of words like snitching and stuff. Well, this is one more minute of this, then we'll jump to another one. Welcome, brother IC3. Good to see you back.
Good evening. Greetings.
Good.
Greetings.
Good. I take it you're familiar with brother Neely Fuller Jr. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes. Wonderful.
There you go, man. So we've got a few videos from him. So what we're going to play one more of this, then we're going to jump to another one. The one I actually want to play was the next one, but because I don't label it, I'm just clicking on. So let's see what this one is. Hold on, let's click another one. Hold on.
And taught
Rewind.
White males have always mistreated all females and taught black males and encouraged black males to mistreat black females. All right? So females all over the planet, all of the females all over the planet have been grossly, horrendously mistreated and are being mistreated even as we speak. I mean, that mistreatment is not isolated and whatnot. It's just people just mention it every now and then. But it's 24/7. It goes with the system of government that we have, the world government. It is okay to mistreat females, whether you're white or non-white, except if you're non-white, you better be very careful about mistreating a white female. All right? Now you can get into serious trouble. But for a white male to mistreat a white female, that's considered okay among the white supremacists themselves. I mean, that's almost like a handshake deal.
Wow.
And they have always done that.
Mm-hmm.
All right? At the same time, they will glorify them. All right? When it comes to other people. But when in the house themselves, they will kick that black female around, that white female around. White men will do that.
Yes,
People
sir.
who have worked in white people's houses have found that out. Particularly back in the old days when
Yes,
you
sir.
had a lot of maids.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes the maid has to come to the rescue of the lady of the house, you might say.
Wow.
And say, you know, Mr. So-and-so, you shouldn't talk to her like that. I mean, she didn't do nothing. She didn't mean no harm and all like that. I mean, you know, the black maid has to intervene in order to help the white female out.
Yes.
You know, or something. But then, on the other hand, the white female is also considering herself a part of the establishment, like in the slave plantation. The white female was abused by the white male, but if the black servant, the black female, who is the maid in the house, even talked back to the lady of the house. Now, wait a minute. All right, who's in charge here?
Okay.
And say, well, I just, Miss Alice, I stood up for you yesterday when Mr. George was talking to you in an abusive fashion, and now you're talking to me in an abusive fashion. Say, yeah, but you're the maid.
Wow.
You are a Negro. You are a subordinate.
Yes.
You have nothing to do with the royal family's arguments.
Yes.
Don't get it mixed up, Hattie. All right? Don't get it mixed up. You are still a subordinate in our house. I mean, you know, hey, it's one thing, in the system of white supremacy, the white supremacists always let black people know, I'm not only in charge of you.
Yes.
In charge of everything that you claim is yours, including what you say is your woman.
Yeah.
Negro boy. You know, you say you got a wife. You ain't got nothing except what I say you have. You don't have a wife. You don't have children. You don't have anything. Why?
Now, guys, this week we're allowing people to jump in and start a conversation about what they want, as long as it's constructive. We've got Brother IC3 here. We're watching some videos from Brother Neely Fuller Jr. in a cartoon form animated by Hip Hop Cartoons, which we put the link in, so go support them. And they're trying to show videos of certain scholars that you can have memes and video links and this kind of stuff, right? But feel free to jump in. We looked at one video. There's one I want to say before I start talking. There's one I want to. It's about poison, I think. Let's see if I can find this one. When we just watched, there's a dynamics of power, as in, yes, you might get women abused, but even though European women might be abused, there's still a dynamic power where that woman still, in many sense, will be higher than the black man or the black woman, and these things to be noted. That's where he was going on there. Let's see if we can hear the poison one. Where is that one? Is this one? It's not that one. No, sir. Let's see if this one.
That's why I take them with everybody.
Nope. Let's see if this is. I've got so many up here.
Away from each other.
Yeah, so this one here. So the one we're going to do. So here's one. Why do black people in the UK copy America? Stop using American talking points. Very good analogy. And we can actually get. I don't know if this brother is a regular or whatever. Very true. What you tend to find is there are many unique, distinct challenges that black people face in different lands, but there are also there are those that is universal. So many things we put in here are universal. But even though we are based in the UK, the philosophy and lifestyle is worldwide. So anyone could take these philosophies, any black person, practice them, and find solutions, regardless of where you find yourself, because that's just how the world works. But in regards to answer your question, you tend to find that there are many changes, and unfortunately influence as well. So what we were highlighting before was the culture of being self-degrading on music and this kind of stuff. and you tend to find that this also affects people in the UK. People in the UK practice this, and also once again, when it comes to black people in the UK having their own media to be able to dictate and change this, not so much. So that same kind of principle is there. I hope that makes sense, Mr. Salford Blue M5. Don't know if you're a black person, but if you are, it would be good for you to get your opinion to jump in. This show specializes in black people, talking to black people about black issues. So if you're a black person, you're welcome to jump in and give your opinion about UK and America, this kind of stuff. But you're always welcome. As long as you're constructive, jump in. But we're going to listen to this. We're going to play now one more video. And don't forget, everyone feel free to jump in to start a good conversation. We're going to listen to Brother Neely Fuller and talk to a radio about why to stay away from black people if you're black. Interesting idea, and we can break that down and see how that can make sense, if it makes sense at all. Let's have a listen.
You said black people need to stay away from each other. Since you brought up black people in your last statement, why did you say that black people need to stay away from each other unless there's going to be some productivity?
Yes, black people should stay away from each other because as victims of racism, the racists have filled our minds full of poison. So whenever we come in contact with each other, the poison immediately begins to spread. Black people walk around full of poison. You can almost see it in our eyes. When we pass each other on the sidewalks, we're loaded with it. It's been put there. We weren't born with it. We didn't have that look in our eyes when we were little people, just little toddlers. We were wide open to the world, just like all people are when you're a toddler. But when you are in an evil system, a system that is designed deliberately to produce evil thoughts, to produce animosity, to produce violence, then that toddler, as he or she grows, begins to pick up the poison that's already here. And then the poison is spread as that person comes in contact, particularly with persons of like persuasion. This is why black people sitting on a bus, you can almost feel the atmosphere of hostility there. That's not a natural thing. That's artificial. And it's all put there by the white supremacists long before the bus was built, long before the people got on the bus. Every black person must realize this. So what do you do about it? Codification is all about what you do. You make sure that anything that you say to someone before you open your mouth is of constructive value. Anything that you do with someone, you sit down and plan it first and make sure that what you're planning is of constructive value. Otherwise, black people should go the other way when they see each other. They shouldn't even come in contact with each other. They should cross the street almost before they say anything to each other, because once they say anything, the poison starts, unless they already have something in mind to say that is of constructive value.
Now we can try to monitor this on this show, because we try to start the show with basic guidelines of being constructive, having a purpose, this kind of stuff. And we tend to find in many of the outlets where people debate, this natural kind of corruptive talking takes place. So you have to be conscious. Most of the things I say on the show is a conscious awareness time, because if you're not aware, whatever happened before will continue. And that's why we try to be constructive here. Normally, we break this talking down to two sections. We have the Black Betterment section, where it's black people who want to practice black betterment, who believe in black love, who believe in black economics, and then you'll get one type of directional speech. But then we also have like the open forum where people jump in, and when you jump in, we just ask that you try to be constructive. But if things you don't agree with or disagree, feel free to jump in. Mr. Salford Blue M5, if you are you're welcome to jump in and discuss why do people in the UK copy American, stop using American talking points, so we can unwrap that. Or we can have people jump in and talk about what they're hearing there. Maybe they disagree. Maybe you think that I know that Frances Cress Welsing also said something like, when you're on TV, she doesn't recommend more than one black person go on TV, because you tend to find that they might end up fighting over stuff, this kind of stuff, especially if it's about race-based issues, whatever. But yeah, let's see what people feel. The links there, jump in, blah, blah, blah. IC3, do you have anything you want to say before I press play?
Yeah. Yeah.
there you go.
So the first thing about the first video you showed, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. So the first video you showed was about how even if the black the black female jumps in to save the white woman from
Mm,
abuse from the white man in the White House,
mm,
the black woman female should not get mistaken about the relationship, and we always remember that she's still, no matter what good she does, she's still um, seen uh, as a slave or somebody not worthy.
subordinate. Subordinate.
Hmm? Pardon?
Subordinate. I think they use the term
Yeah.
subordinate.
That's right. Yeah. I was looking for the word,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I was thinking as I was watching that video how um, the white man abusing the white woman. The thought that came to mind is how the white supremacists use white sacrifice. So
Mm,
the white supremacists will abuse white people um, for the purpose of maintaining the system of white supremacy.
mm,
So that's
mm,
when I saw that, and that is the most confusing tactic that they use, because when they select a white person to be sacrificed as a showcase to say, well, we're not racist, look, I sacked that white man as well.
mm,
I sacked that woman. I had to let her go, she weren't good enough.
mm,
So you say, oh, we're not racist, see, because we sack white people as well, or we. So now the mindset of that white person who is being sacrificed, all of a sudden that white person will seem to empathize with the plight of black people. You see, they even take on the mindset. See, you see, I'm being abused as well. I'm losing
mm,
my job. I understand what you black people are going through. All of a sudden,
mm.
because they're being sacrificed. So I just wanted to say that relating to um, the abuse of the white woman inside the White House by the white man.
Mm. Okay, very good points. Yeah, for those, Neely Junior Fuller talks about this concept of white sacrifice, and it's that concept where sometimes so-called white supremacists or white supremacists would sacrifice a white person in order to progress, and it isn't to be conceived as like allyship or turning against their own or this kind of stuff. It's more so it was necessary. It was a necessary small thing to do in order to progress some other kind of motivation or something. So it comes from this kind of thought pattern. So when we're still going to watch the video about poisonous, is it sometimes not constructive to just go and hang around black people of a certain kind of mindset if you haven't got a constructive plan? We said this to Brother Needy Fuller, expound on this more.
And we just tried this. This is what you call the process of counter-racist codification. You're working against racism right there. But see, black people just cannot continue to do like they're doing, and that is wait until they make contact and then try to figure out what to say and what to do, and it comes out all messed up right from the jump, as we well know from experience. We should have learned that by now. So we should agree that we avoid each other like we are carrying SARS.
That's what I was going to say, put in the terms of that we're carrying viruses.
Yes, there is such a virus as, social viruses that we send, messages that we send with eye contact, with everything. This is why you'll find a black person who will gun down someone with a 9mm in a line in a grocery store about nothing but a look. Mm-hmm. We're so full of poison, we're loaded with it. So if we back off from each other, avoid each other, and say, now I'm not going to say anything to this person that I see coming a block away, unless it's something constructive. Otherwise, I'm going to avoid eye contact and every other kind of contact.
So how many of you agree with that? As in, like, if you're around,
Yes, I agree with it, man. I practice it.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's right. Cold.
interesting.
I feel like I'm being cold, but it's like it's working fantastic. I'm stress-free. Stress-free, but I do feel kind of guilty sometimes and antisocial. And
Right.
it almost feels like I'm being antisocial when I behave like that. But I notice at the end of the day, I just don't have any stress. I just go through the day
Right.
smooth as ice.
So this wait so welcome 8 10 of 10 8 10 of 10. I hope am I saying that correctly? 10 of 10?
Hi, do you hear me?
Akhenaten,
Yeah.
sorry, Akhenaten,
Yeah,
sorry.
Akhenaten, yeah, Akhenaten, yeah.
Akhenaten.
Welcome.
Ah, right.
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten, there you go. I sound like a Street Fighter character there, but that's better. Akhenaten, that's more Egyptian. That's better sound.
Yeah.
Welcome. I don't know how much you've heard of the show, but so far we're playing like small cartoon clips of Brother Neely Jr. Fuller making certain statements, and we're just wondering if people agree with it. But some people are just jumping on to say their mind, but as long as it's based around Black Betterment, we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Is there anything further you want to talk about, brother?
Yeah, the thing is, I do agree with some of it. I would say the last bit there, when it comes to avoiding each other, I don't think that's the best way for us to actually deal with the issues that we have in our communities. I think we have to use different type of channels, different types of tactics. We can't use the ordinary because people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I think it's good for us to maybe use a different type of topic or tactic to reach out to the masses. I think this is a good way for us to discuss things. I mean, to avoid, I don't think that's the best idea.
Well, just to highlight, maybe I can iron it out more. I think what the brother was saying is if you're just meeting Black people with no kind of pre-thoughted plan or concept of any kind of betterment, then don't do that, because what he finds is many Black people have been conditioned to have poisonous thoughts, poisonous ways of talking that becomes culturalized and normalized. So even like how people greet each other at some point could be an insult that's accepted as normal. And from his findings, if you don't have a preconditioned plan of what you're doing for seeking justice, in his words, then you might just end up harming each other. And that's what he's pushing forward. Do you see there might be any truth in certain communities or not really?
Yeah. And can I add this bit as well? I remember as young, when I was really young, sometimes you're bored and you just go around your friend's house, or you call up on the phone and say, "What's up? What's up?" So, what are you doing tonight? There's no plan. There's nothing. There's no, you're just bored, and you hope that, but by going around or just meeting somebody, they got nothing to do either. But hopefully by meeting up with some so-called friends, you think that you might the meeting itself might cause a happening, something good to happen. You're just hoping that if you just meet up for a drink or something, that something good is going to happen, but you're not planning for it. There's no plan. And that's how what we used to do, and then we used to get up into mischief because we're bored. So what we used to do is like, and it's like the saying, the old saying, the devil finds work for idle hands. Yeah, find something.
So keep yourself busy. Yeah, that's why he says keep yourself busy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
I do understand it. I understand the concept. I understand the reason why you're saying it, because the society we live in today has been so, pollutant. Has been polluting our minds, our subconscious mind, so much that we're trapped. People say we're trapped. Like Malcolm X said, he said we triple trapped. We're not trapped. We're triple trapped.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I'm also going to, because I have to leave. I have some stuff to do. But I'm going to leave you with a quote. that comes directly from the horse's mouth, like they say. Malcolm X, he says, you people are way out in the water or in the sea and can't swim, and you're waiting for somebody in the bathtub that can't swim. Do you get it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna leave you with that. Yeah. And also, sorry, I had a podcast right now before I came in here, from Greatest Africa. Please, if you can, come in there and be a part of the community as well. If you can, Rap Raven and
Yeah.
IC3
Do you have a link,
there.
brother? That if you have a
I
link,
do
we
have.
can promote it now.
I do.
Yeah.
I
Put
do
the
have
link.
a link. Yeah.
Give me the link either in this forum thing here, and I'll post it, and then we'll try to follow and just all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build something together. Build. 'Cause I want to build, bro.
That's
I want
right.
to build.
No, definitely.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
the idea to network. I mean, one thing we're very, like, the thing with this particular podcast is it has to be constructive, and it's about black issues and black
Yeah.
betterment.
Yeah.
But we have to jump on any kind of forum and try to implement that or talk about that elsewhere, whatever. Right? As well as
Yeah, it's
other things.
about Africa. It's about Black people. So yeah, of course, it's all about us. So thank you so much, anyways, Rap Raven, for coming here and speaking my view. Thank you so
Of
Excellent.
course.
much.
Don't forget to give us the link so we can promote it, bro. If you get time,
Most
so I can
definitely, I
promote
will.
it.
Most definitely, I will. I will. Most definitely. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro. Definitely. You have a good one. All right.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Let's see. We got some things. Big up Ultra Funky. Big up Only One Sosa. King Kel, as what my parents would say, either you're busy in yourself helping. Let me put up this one so you can see. Either you're busy yourself, as my parents would say, either you're busy yourself helping black people or you're busy yourself helping non-black people. Interesting. Yes. Well, this is the thing. One of the reasons why Black Betterment is so important is because you make an active choice to help black people. Because in this world, if you don't make an active choice to help black people, the way many systems are sorted out, you probably won't be doing anything. And this is something that we have to really, really take hold of and really imagine. Like I said, Lean Fuller talks about, a lot of black people are anti-black when it comes to hatred, but also many black people have been trained not to do anything beneficial for black people. And you'll find that when I debate, you'll see that straight away. That as soon as I talk about tangibility, then you have many black people, the automatic algorithm just kicks on and they start trying to shut down. You see?
That's right.
And this is
Yeah.
learned behavior. So we have to know how to deprogram this. But we're going to play a bit more of this, see if they reveal more stuff. And then don't forget, guys, let me put the link also back in there. So if you guys want to jump in and join, anyone's welcome to join. It's open forum. So let's play.
Well, see, now, there is a governor on black people where that poison doesn't take place. And that is when that same two black people coming down the street, they will start building up poison for each other a block away. But when they come in contact with white people, the poison is nullified because they know that white people can put a hurting on them. They know where power really is. Unless, of course, they happen to corner some white person off somewhere in an alley or something. But black people don't have that automatic poison rising to the surface because the poison hasn't been put there for them to have that kind of animosity toward white people. Now, that's not to say that it should be there, but the poison shouldn't be there at all. Black people should be like Mr. Rogers when it comes to interacting with each other.
Is this subconscious that we have this poison in us and that are not aware of it? And I know that the answer to the question, but I have to pose the question to you.
We're not only aware of it, we have come to glorify it. Black people wake up in the morning thinking about how we can spread poison among each other.
Consciously
and we call
or
it,
subconsciously?
It's conscious because now it has become the black lifestyle. We call it the ghetto lifestyle. We call it the black community lifestyle. It is a major disaster of the planet. Major. This is why we slaughter each other all over the planet in huge numbers, just like it's nothing at all. It's nothing like the sound of the 9mm, one of Adolf Hitler's favorite cartridges. Hitler's been long dead, and he is reported to have not cared very much for black people. But one of the bullets that came out of World War II was a 9mm cartridge. and it is being used everywhere among black people and glorified as the principal instrument for spreading poison and making death among black people wherever they happen to be. The sound of the 9mm in the night. Pow, 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 pow. Glorified and enjoyed by many black people wherever they happen to be. It is a total universal disgrace. But we have that. So how do you avoid it? Avoid contact.
So you hear that, brother, saying that, you know, if you're not really planning anything, try to avoid contact with many black people because you might have some, it might be very destructive. And this is what he's saying. In certain areas of the world, there are what he's calling culturalized destruction that is being glorified and maybe even normalized to the point where no one even recognizes it because it's so normal. I think he's trying to say he wants to reverse this. Big up Robbie Blue says he's going to join the discussion in 20 minutes. That was 4 minutes ago. So, yeah. And, let me. Anyone want to? Oh, okay. So I see, want to say anything to that? I see first.
Yeah, I think. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Whenever you hear the word "what's up" or the phrase "what's up," you know, it's almost got to be like a codified response or state of mind you put yourself in whenever you hear "what's up." You know, usually, well, in my experience, you know, when I hear the "what's up," the response is, "Well, you what's up, man? You tell." Yeah. So it's like bouncing back and forth, both people not knowing what's up. Yeah. Whilst, yeah. So it's so you're setting the tone, for chaos to come in because you're not in. There's no mission.
No mission. It's
There's
interesting
no plan.
Because I remember hearing some speech from Frances Cress Wilson many years ago, and I can't remember where it was, but she was saying that when someone says "What's up" to you, what a response that might be constructive, helpful is to say white supremacy. And
oh my God, what's up? White supremacy.
And she said this is a way
That's
to remind people.
Cold, man.
This was her way of trying to highlight.
I think I'll take that up. You know.
There you go. So this is what she wanted. She and her both her and Neely, brother Neely Junior Fuller, they had this kind of way of talking and getting to the point of trying to always highlight what is going on and the solution for it. Let's see what the people in the forum are saying. Let's go on. When we meet each other, it is to be said what economical project can be support for our people today. There you go.
Today.
So can we so what economical project can be supported for our people today? And that's the thing. One thing we have to understand, and this is what this broadcast is about really, is about identifying things that need to be done and do them. And I think sometimes, you know, whenever people hear about black projects and this kind of stuff, they automatically think, well, it's going to get done anyway. Yeah, I support this way. But I think sometimes you need to have actual goals and strategies. And without that, the opposite will be done. So if you think you're helping black people by not having any plans of preparation, you're actually going to help someone else. So, for example, you might just, you know, not care about black economics and then just walk down the street and go shopping and you spend 200, 600, 400 pounds, whatever it is, and you're not necessarily spending it in a community that can benefit from it. So in that case, you're not really doing black people any benefit in that process. But if you knew that you have a set budget that you're always going to spend in a certain set shop, and that way you're trying to change the spending patterns. Also, with the poisonous of black people and the self-hatred, you'll see that when I'm debating Speaker's Corner. Many people will tell you that they don't actually enjoy shopping in black establishments. So there's the one thing where they don't like going there because they might not like the price or the actual what they call the customer service. But then also there's a concept that if even the customer service is bad, That's obviously a learned behavior that needs to be fixed. And also, if say quote unquote the price might be too high, it could be because you have black people who are not who are just starting a new business and they don't have as many like distributors or stock or people they can get their stuff from. Like other people might have a better network going, so forcing them to charge a bit more. And this is the many hurdles that we have to cross. Hence why I started the show by saying black people are collectively inadequate. There's been much challenges that goes against black people progressing, but it's like we really are starting on level one in so many aspects. So having clear direction of what we're doing is very important, and having a clear agenda is very important. And that's why I'll start by saying I'm a black bearer, and I'm trying to help black people constructively and this kind of good stuff. Yeah. So let me press play again. Go ahead.
I wanted that you brought up a point there when you said Francis Cress Welsing says when somebody says "What's up," you just say "white supremacy." When you said that, I remember hearing somewhere that there was a great battle between Rome and Carthage.
Okay.
Yeah, Carthage, and what the Romans did, whenever they used to greet each other, they used to say, "Carthage must fall." So that's how they greeted each other.
Yeah.
Carthage must fall.
Is it Carthage or is it Carthage?
I'm probably pronouncing it right. Carthage. Yeah.
Carthage. Yeah.
Africa.
Hannibal, brother Hannibal.
That's right. Hannibal. Yes. So the Romans, when they greeted each other in the morning, evening, lunchtime, in the evening, they would say greet each other.
Yeah. So
Carthage
for those
must fall. Carthage must fall.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought of when you said that. I said yes, white supremacy. What's up, white supremacy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what brother's saying is, for those who don't know, because we always try, sometimes we talk, and because some of us study for so long, we forget that some people might be new. So let me try to unpack there. So Carthage, basically in the Roman Empire, Carthage was one of the few empires outside of Carthage that was based in Africa. I think one day Libya now, to be honest. And it was one of the empires that could actually rival Rome to a certain degree, and they had a very good naval shipyard. I remember that much, and they also had a very good troops. And one thing that's unique about them is they would actually have riding on elephants, which was quite unique. And this was a North African-based army, and the leader was a guy called Hannibal Burker, and I think one point he tried to invade Rome by going over the mountains, and he
That's
went.
That's right.
He was conquering each city, and then he was also liberating some people. Yeah,
he was the greatest.
Yeah,
ever.
He was one of the greatest generals, African generals, just generals in general. Good word there.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately he lost. I think he lost to Africanus. I could be wrong. I think eventually.
And he had internal African problems.
The
Romans couldn't beat him.
And I think when they won, they really destroyed Carthage. That they really made a smash on Carthage. It's nowadays Tunisia. That's right. It isn't Libya, it's Tunisia. That is correct. Right, that is true. And so that's something that you should study. And there's obviously documentaries about that. And one of the things when it comes to the Black Betterment show is he's depicted as a black man from some people and depicted as a non-black man from other places. Sometimes they say it's hard to say what the Polynesians or the ancient Berbers or the ancient Carthaginians were. But from a black Betterment standpoint, or from a B1 or a pro-black, he's always depicted as a black man. I wonder if I can find any images of him. Maybe I just put a link to his stuff. But funny enough, when it talks about ancient generals, they always say that some of the greatest ones was Alexander the Great, and then they say it was Hannibal Burker for what he did, because it was like an amazing thing to go into the Roman Empire. Personally, I think the Haitian Revolution might be the most greatest war story ever told, in the sense of, and I think that's something that we should really try to highlight, in the sense of Toussaint Overture and
that's right, because he took out 3 kingdoms or something like that.
What's more quite impressive about this, and I would say, is you had the Haitian Revolution, where you had enslaved people who end up organizing themselves to fight on land and sea against free whether it was Spain,
empires,
empires,
the British,
England,
the French,
France. and it was diplomatic. It was change. It was very good diplomatic techniques, very good strategies, normal war plus guerrilla warfare, bravery. And I think because Haiti is so hated for what it done, no one really acknowledged it. But I think if we were to really think about it, me personally, I would say that the Haitian Revolution is the greatest war conquering freedom story that's ever lived. Before them, the biggest slave revolt was Spartacus, but Spartacus went against the Romans and lost. But the Haitians won. But the only thing for the Haitians was, like you saw, even though they won, the world got together to put sanctions on them and have them pay reparations for destroying slavery equipment, this kind of stuff. But I think it would be good to have in all households pictures of Jean-Jacques and pictures of Toussaint Louverture, this kind of stuff, because this is, for me, the most remarkable general ever. And I think you tend to find there's many remarkable people of African or Black origin who don't really get any kind of promotion because, once again, if Black people don't own media, no one's going to tell the Black story. If they do tell Black people's story, African stories, they're going to tell it from a one-sided place. And you tend to find non-Black heroes in there taking up all the kind of limelight and this kind of stuff. So this is why it's very important for the Black Betterers, the beat ones, the pro-Blacks, the Pan-Africanists to really come together and control media.
Just imagine that as a movie.
Yeah,
just imagine that as a movie, man. I mean, that could be a movie series. You know that you got Lord of the Rings, about three, and you got Matrix, 3 versions. I mean, you could easily do about 5 versions of that of a great movie. But Hollywood, we don't want Hollywood doing it anyway. They would mess it up. But I know a lot of Black actors have been trying to raise money to do that, but Hollywood doesn't want to touch it. But imagine that. Yeah, because you could have the whole series. It'd be absolute the quality of the potential.
I mean, you've got to understand that at that time, they unified the whole island itself. They turned it into an empire.
Oh man, what a movie that would be!
Yeah, and this is
French army, and then you got the British army. Oh, man, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and with Toussaint, it's a shame because he was betrayed and tricked into going to France to what he thought was signing like a end of war kind of document or whatever. And they threw him in jail and he died there. But then also Jean-Jacques took over, and he turned Haiti into an empire, and then he made a castle. And interesting something another interesting thing was at the time in Haiti they had Polish people who decided to jump on the side of the Haitians. And their history as well was they used to worship the Black Madonna. I had pictures of the Black Madonna, this kind of stuff, which was very unique for certain European countries to do. But I think Jean-Jacques labeled them honorary Black. No, he called them Noirs. No, I think Noir. But essentially, what it is it's a concept of being honorary Black. And the only time we really heard this concept was in Australia and I think maybe Canada or America and these kind of places. There was this concept to be honorary whites, and they're usually allowed to Asians to be. Where because only white people could have certain kind of privileges, because there was an allyship between Asians, they would label them honorary whites so they could actually receive that particular privilege. And with Haiti being the first Black republic and end all slavery, this kind of stuff, they would make the Polish people fall on their side, honorary Blacks. So interesting stuff there.
Are there any Polish people descendants still alive? Are there any white Polish people?
Well, the thing is, and this is the interesting thing, there is still Polish people alive. Well, Polish heritage people alive, descendants. But if you look at them today, funny enough, they will look at what people describe as biracial or Black.
Really?
Right? I'll see if I can find
Stephen, put a picture up. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Let me see if I can find there we go, Polish Asian. What I'll do, guys, is I'll put a link to the Polish Haitians in the forum, and I can't actually. Oh, maybe I can't actually. Let me. I wonder. Hold on. Can I upload things with this new thing? Hold on. Stop. No. Stop sharing. Share slides. Can you? I don't think you can actually upload JPEGs. Can you upload JPEGs? Let's take a sneak peek. Bon appetit. No, they haven't allowed that. So what I'll have to do is in the future I'll make some PDF stuff. But if you just type in Polish Haitians, which you do there, and you look at your Google, you'll see what the Polish Haitians look like.
Right.
Yeah, by living in a black country, obviously, as time goes by, they're they're black, But I'm sure there's still some more traditionally Polish looking people. Um, but yeah, this is interesting history, and it's a shame that Haiti is being destroyed the way it is. But I think maybe at some point there should be a collective effort to try to resurrect Haiti, because you got to think. Imagine if the Haitian Empire survived and they influenced all the people, and all the enslaved people rebelled and joined. Because I think Haiti also went off to fight in the South American Civil War, so they also gave troops to. I want to say it's a South American country. I can't remember the name, but there was one rule they said is that you have to shut down slavery in your country before we help you out. So a very interesting history there. One that isn't really told, but one we should tell. But yeah, there you go. Let me continue this video. Remember, guys, if you want to jump in, the link's there, somewhere there. Just find it. Let's listen to the Needy Full talking about some black people are poisonous, so it's probably best you don't hang around with them if you don't have a constructive goal. Let's see if you agree, disagree, or want to agree. Just let us know, and we'll jump in and make it so. Play.
A bunch of black people getting together, 10 of them, with no constructive agenda, always means something ugly. Always.
Yeah.
No constructive agenda. Pre-planned in detail. The Million Man March worked because it was pre-planned.
So
and
what about
it was of constructive value. And
So what
everyone
about the black-
understood that.
what
See,
about
it's
the
not
black
something
church?
that's in the people by nature.
Uh-huh.
It's something that's carefully planted there. So you can remove that, if no more than just temporarily, by having a plan. Say now, when everyone does this, when we all come together, the agenda is as follows. Everyone will deport themselves with decorum. There will be no throwing down of trash. And if you happen to throw some down or see some that's been thrown down, pick it up and put it in a receptacle. Now see, this is a pre-plan. Now black people work very well. This is why the churches, for the most part, work. When black people come to church, they have a code.
That's what I was going to ask you about the black
So
church.
black people, when black people at least come to church, they at least have an agreement in advance. So we're going to kind of act like for a few hours we have some sense. Unlike the way we acted before we came in here, even though when we leave here we're going to revert to type. But for 2 or 3 hours, we're going to go according to the little code that we have set up about the way you conduct yourself during these services. And so that's just a little respite.
What about religion?
Well, religion is nothing. Here again, you define what is a religion. It's a strong belief backed up by action.
Okay.
Now, the strongest religion on the planet is the religion of white supremacy. Now, a person might say, well, white supremacy is not a religion. Yes, it is. It's a strong belief backed up by action that has a God. Well, what is the God of a white supremacist? The God of a white supremacist is a white supremacist. They are their own gods. This is why they are very determined and very focused and very arrogant and very efficient. When they get ready to do anything, they have total confidence. And they do not take kindly to any images of a God that does not look exactly like them.
So we have to realize as well the whole how images and symbolic stuff plays a part in a person's mindset. And some people say if your deity doesn't look like you, then you might not see yourself in a high level of any kind of stature.
They consider any other images as being inferior or non-existent.
Okay.
So it's everything that a white supremacist does reinforces white supremacy. They don't come around. They don't even come around black people unless they have that in mind.
Or unless they have to.
Everything.
Unless they have to.
Yes. And the only time they do, the only time they show up anywhere, it has something to do with the muscle of white supremacy. Otherwise, they're not going to show. even when they come in the guise of doing other things, as people who are called Indians will testify. They'll say that they come, here again with the words, the forked tongue. And they're very efficient. But I don't want to spend all of the day just talking about what they do. A lot of people are familiar with that. And a lot of people may not be. But I also want to emphasize, what do you do? Like we have touched on some things.
Yes.
In every instance, meaning in every situation that you're in, there should be a prescribed way. That's the one thing that black people do not have, is a codified way of handling every situation. Not some, not guesswork, not shuffling and head scratching and wondering what to do or what to say, but precision work. That's the one thing that's missing. That's the one thing that has been missing ever since everybody started trying to deal with racism.
There you go. And there's the brother's book there, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a word that people forget, but a very long name. But that's the book that if you want to know about Nina Junior Funia's code and how to operate under a racist system, he released that, I think, originally in the 60s. I want to say 60s or 70s. I could be wrong. But he updates it as time now. But I'm going to try to share. Let's see if I can do this. Share screen, window, and let's say it's Polish Haitians. Share. Voila. So there's a picture here of the. So as you see here, these are descendants of the Polish people who fought with the Haitians back in the late 1801, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and before before that as well. And these were the ones who Jean-Jacques called the honorary blacks or the Noirs, and this is their descendants who live in Haiti at the moment and still practice, I guess, Polish culture and this kind of stuff. So yeah, this is one of the few non-black allies historically in a war setting I can think of. Maybe John Brown might have considered another one as well. Maybe
that's right. John Brown.
Maybe John Brown. But yeah, interesting stuff. What we might do as well is maybe, because there's tons of documentaries on here, like cartoony documentaries of certain kind of revolutions and stuff. And I think they could be very motivational to hear that. And I think that one would be a good one to hear. There's tons of slave revolts that never really gets airtime. So we could also cover that at some point. Also with this hip hop cartoon show that we promote, their show, whatever, their channel, they actually also, I think they did Francis Cress Wellskin on one, maybe. So this is Francis Cress Wellskin. She wrote the ISIS papers, and what she was doing was talking about the motivation between why racism happens. Interesting enough. While I sort something out, I'll listen to 2 minutes of her cartoon that was made. Not sure what it's about, but it's always good to hear the sister speak because she does fantastic work. All right, big kick drum.
In the last 500 years, black people in this area of the world, we can say that there's no such thing as black culture. What there is what the system of racism, white supremacy, programs black people to do. You see, in other words, if the system of racism, white supremacy says, you are not going to be scientists, you are not going to be highly functioning doctors and lawyers and teachers, you are not going to have stable family life, you are not going to respect sex. Now, your role is to entertain me. So you can jump up and down and sing. You can dance. And yes, you're good at sports. You can do that in some venues. That's what I'm going to allow you to do. I'm not going to allow you to have stable communities. Because if you have a Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm going to burn that down. If you think you're going to stabilize a so-called middle-class community and you're going to have a home that's mortgaged, I'm going to see that those mortgages are foreclosed so that you can be into family dissolution, place of living dissolved. So what we can say is that we have an imposed culture under the power dynamics of racism, white supremacy. See, I can see right now in my mind the picture of Beyonce with her legs wide open at the Super Bowl for last year. It was so appalling to me, I can't get it out of my mind in terms of what has been done to us. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we would be wiser. No, we are trying to get ourselves to the point where we can establish what we would then call black culture, where we will no longer be victims of a system of racism, white supremacy. So once the system of racism, white supremacy has been replaced with a system of justice, that's when we will start talking about our culture. That's when we will begin talking about who we really are as black people.
Interesting. Very important warrior queen there. Sister Frances Cress Welskin passed away a few years back. Very, very important words. We should probably try to play more of her stuff. She got on a few soaps back in the early 90s. Not soaps, talk shows, I think they would call them. But not that much is known for, I guess, in the mainstream. Well, welcome, Brother Kel, by the way. Welcome.
Welcome, Brother Kale.
Oh, once he finds his mic, we'll let him in. What we've got here as well, while Brother Kel's finding his mic, we've got a few lists here of Wikipedia, your best pedia in the world, your easy one-click Wikipedia, your full-on-click scholarship, whatever. And if you just type in slave rebellion, you'll get a whole list of slave rebellions that you might not be aware of, because they don't really promote it, but there was a lot. And the Haitian Revolution really sparked off many people just not having it. And you've got all through the Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada, Venezuela, Barbados, Guyana, British Virgin Islands, Cuba, Danish West Indian Company, St. Prince and Thomas. So that's actually in Africa, which is called South Tomé and Principe. It's French or something like that, I can't remember. Or maybe it's Portuguese. That's actually, I think it's Portuguese. I can't remember. And the South America and the Caribbean, the Tricky Wars, the Guerrilla Maroon Wars, you name it. Yeah, there's been tons, and some won, some not, but they fought. So it's very good to check those out, and maybe we'll cover some of these in the future. You got the Nat Turner State Rebellion, you got the Denmark one, you got George Boxley. You got a lot here. There's so many you wouldn't know. The Samba Rebellion, the New York Slave Revolts of 1712. The Gaspar Yanga, that was the one in Mexico. Very interesting on that one. The statues of him there. There's a lot. Very interesting stuff. And then when you guys start loving black people and start making black media, you can start, creating these fantastic plays and films, and we can, that would be amazing. But you have to want to, because if you don't want to, you won't do it. If you don't actively do something, you'll go. If you're not actively trying to help black people, you work against black people. Unfortunately, that's the way the code works. Hi, Brother Kel. Anything you want to add?
Brother, good to have you back, brother, man. Hope everything's well and good.
Thank you.
Also, we cannot forget the African freedom fighters who were rescuing a lot of the European Jews from Hitler. That is not spoken about, and that really does need to be spoken about with that revolt. I just want to touch upon something, brother. During the podcast now, could we say that it's for the Africans to have a set of confident mindsets to have the judo effect when the non-Africans are using their confident mindsets?
So run that by me again. Can we say what? Sorry, run by me again. Sorry.
Say that the African needs confident mindsets to combat the non-Africans' confident mindsets. For example, right, Neela Blue was saying that they deem themselves as gods and they deem themselves everything first, right? Even if they have to be around us, they have like a confident mindset. So would you say that we're going to have the same mindset? And how do we have that confident mindset of principles?
Yeah, no, I think that is the thing. Yeah, I would agree that conviction and dedication is necessary, and discipline, of course, and also purpose. I think it's interesting because I've been doing what I've done for so long that I need to train myself to be prepared for the black people who are psychologically highly damaged publicly. So sometimes when I talk about certain concepts of black people uniting, many black people become completely enraged and enthralled, and they can't breathe, and they start foaming from the mouth. And
Oh
for
dear.
people that,
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah, you might see that sometimes when I speak, and it's not their fault. They don't know any better. They've been
Yeah.
completely destroyed inside out, and they're completely subservient, and
Yeah.
they don't. But unfortunately, there are two types of subservience. There's the person who's deliberately trying to be subservient, and that's what they really want to do, for whatever reason. And there's those who don't even know they're doing it. Like
Yeah.
they're following a script that has been dictated. So, yeah, I agree. And look, I'm there's certain words that I say a lot that I'm going to be saying more of, and that is, uh, um, I'm quite frank when I say it's controversial to say that someone's an elitist, but I use the term elitist in a very straight from the shooting hip concept where a black person has to want to help black person and be constructive to actually do something, and once you do that and you confess that, for me, you're part of the black elite. Yeah, because we need the most able-bodied people doing constructive stuff, and unfortunately, I think when you heard Brother Neely Fuller talking, there are many people who want to help, but they're so poisoned in their mind that they actually can't. They'll set you back 800 miles because just their basic principles are problematic.
Right. Yeah.
So like I said, I always tell people I do pro bono work with black people, and I build with black bearers. So if there's no black person, if they're going through challenges, I'm going to help them out and try to, if the time permit. But there's no guarantee that I'm going to do black focused stuff with them or African focused stuff with them because they might be self sabotaging. And then to answer Brother Kel's question, yeah, well, in my way, there needs to be a confident way of acting when you are confronted with any person, non-black or black, in your purpose. And yeah, and but the idea is to normalize the concept of helping black people. It hasn't been normalized. What's been normalized at the moment is destroying black people, and it's been normalized so well that we don't even notice it. Like it just goes unchecked. But it's like a lot of the content from media to music is about harming black people in some kind of way,
Yeah.
and this doesn't really help the collective psyche of black people. So yeah, this has to be addressed, and that's why we do need words from Neely Fuller and Francis Cress Welsken and this kind of stuff to try to pull it and that's one thing as well that I tried to bring to this show. Try to deliver the information in the most calm, precise way. Very important to not get completely trapped in the passion talk and emotion talk because talking to black people, especially those who've been poisoned mentally, they will use that as a get out of jail free card. They will use that to talk about something else. So we kind of need to have a disciplined way of speaking.
So, Brother Raven, that brings back to the inevitable. Do we
Can I
need
address
to have
that question,
chanting?
Brother Kale? The question that you asked.
Okay,
Can I have
brother.
my
All
chance
right, okay.
to address it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So you said how Neely Fuller was highlighting how the white people, the white supremacists, see themselves as God, and so they wake up in the morning with that mindset that they have to rule all the non-white people. So that God, they see themselves as God, and they're in that God mindset. And then you're asking, how can black people count? Or what is the correct mindset for black people to counter that that mindset? And I think traditionally, what black people have tried to do is start saying that we are gods, we're black gods, that sisters are God, goddess, calling everybody gods, calling each other gods. So that's been the most popular method that I've seen black people doing, calling each other gods. I don't do that. I'm along the path of saying that I'm a victim. I'm a victim mindset. That's the state I'm in. But the positive is that I am working. I'm on a mission to escape. So I accept I'm a victim. I accept that I'm a prisoner in the system of white supremacy. So that's the negative, but I don't finish there. Yes, I'm a prisoner. I understand where I'm at. I understand the state I'm in. Right. So now what? Now what? My mission is to nullify white supremacy, to escape the system, to escape the prison. That's my mission. That's why I wake up in the morning and think, what can I do today to plan the escape? What can I do? And the escape, as I've come to understand, is the construction of a black sovereign entity or nation or state. So I'm also in the mindset, I'm a victim, prisoner, but builder. I'm building, I'm constructing the nation, because an entity has to be constructed to receive the reparations that will come about through the nullification of white supremacy. So as white supremacy is being nullified, the process of nullifying white supremacy reparations is the topic, is the solution. The escape is in the topic of reparations. That's why it's a heavy topic. Yes. So a construction, the escape from white supremacy, the escape from victimhood, victim status, is in the construction, building an escape construction.
So then could we say then, Alda and Brother Raven, that we need chanting templates for the younger African descendants as well as the elder African descendants?
I can't hear you. Can you say that again? I think
Can you hear me now, Alda? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so then could we say then, Alda and Brother Raven, that we need chanting templates
that's
for
interesting.
young...
Did you say chanting?
Yes, Alda.
Wow.
If you can...
Whoa, that's interesting.
If I could finish or just... Yeah. Chanting templates for the young African descendants as well as the elder African descendants. Tangible ones, of course, and realistic ones that will help them in that confident mindset that when they are around the non-Africans, when they're using their mindset to combat that. What's your opinions on that, Elder and Brother Raven?
Yeah, well, I think there's slogans and things that could be said. That's empowerment, and like with time, we always have to review. Like for example, when there was a lot of controversial about the Nation of Islam back in the early 1930s, saying that the white man was the devil, and as controversial as that might be, it was very effective then, and it actually represented many realities that they were going through, in the sense of there was a system of racism and death and murder, and they were at that time they were trying to get what they saw as the European version of Christianity to a black-centered version of the Islam or Nation of Islam, whatever. So they were using many techniques to help that bridge and to highlight. And the funny thing is, as I say this, we have this here.
Time to talk to the white man. We are working on our people. First things first, we look upon the so-called Negro in America as a sick man. When a man, you may say, well, what do I mean sick? If a man has forgotten his name, he's a sick man. They call that amnesia. And if you go to the so-called Negro here in America and ask him his name, he doesn't know it. If a Chinese person came through that door and I asked him his name and he said his name was Patrick Murphy, you'd know he forgot his own name and has picked up an alias somewhere. So, if a yellow man looks ridiculous wearing an Irish name, which is a white man's name, how much more absurd does a black man look wearing a white man's name? So we who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when we see so-called Negroes named Murphy and O'Toole and Johnson and Smith and Powell and Wright and Wilkins, which are all English and Irish names, we think that they look just as much out of place as a group of Chinese would look wearing those same names. And they wear these names because they don't know their own name. They have lost their identity, their own identity. So this is amnesia. And by not knowing themselves, when a man doesn't know himself, he doesn't know what belongs to him. He could be the richest man on this earth, but by having lost his identity, he'll walk around like a pauper. So here we have 20 million black people in America who are wearing the names of their former slave master, as we've been taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And by suffering a form of amnesia, they don't have a name of their own, so they've taken your name. They don't know their own language, so they've taken your language. They don't have a history of their own, so they let you tell them what their history is. And that, in essence, is that you found them in the jungle someplace with a spear chasing white people in a cannibalistic way to try and give the impression that white meat is the only good meat to eat. So we who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad classify this as an amnesia or a form of mental sickness. And he teaches us also that the black people of America are sick spiritually. Whenever you have, if you go into China and find a Chinese who has adopted Christianity, because he still has a Chinese heart and a Chinese brain and Chinese concepts, whatever he sees through Chinese eyes. So though he accepts Christianity, if you ask the Chinaman to paint a picture of Jesus, he'll come out looking Oriental like a Chinaman. Same way with an Eskimo. Put an Eskimo in the same position, and he will depict his Lord or Savior like an Eskimo. Because by nature, a person is forced to see that which he admires in his own eyes, or vice versa. Now then, you come here to the American white man and ask him for his conception of Jesus or his God, and he will always depict him as a white man, just like himself. But you go to the Negro in America and ask him for his conception of Jesus, and he'll show you a Jesus with a blonde hair and a blue eyes and white skin. Everyone can see their Savior through their own eyesight except the so-called Negro. Everyone has their own God except the so-called Negro. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that this is a form of mental sickness or spiritual sickness, and also we suffer from moral
All right.
sickness.
So I just have to play all of it there. Sometimes when Brother Malcolm speaks, you just have to listen, man.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
yeah, it's just one of them things, right? So to answer Brother Kel's thing, what the point I was making is there was a way they spoke the Nation of Islam back in the days that was really effective, but they kind of had to reword certain things as time went by, as time changed and new things came in. And I guess with the new generation now, there's certain old words we might use that might go over their head. So it's about how do you speak in a way that's effective? What do you say what
would be the new chant? Very good question.
Very good, man. This is something that we can have as homework for. And those in the crowd, if there's any new chants that you guys think could be very effective things to say to try to help synchronize
as powerful,
black people. Yeah, to make
powerful as a white man is a devil. Yeah, that was powerful, man. Jeez.
No, but what can you do to? Because what you're going to find that Brother Kel is alluding to is that when black people try to do anything constructive for black people, non-black people will come along and they will use certain kind of words that will make black people feel guilty or become synchronized. I saw a video not too long ago of a Muslim sister, and she was kind of being bullied on some online forum to disassociate with black people and associate with Arabs. And this is like, at that point, the religion, they used the religion as a tool to try to unsynchronize the sister from being constructive to black people. And like I said, any tool can be used to make a black person not feel comfortable to help black people. So you have to have counter words that you can throw at them to minimize that, or to empower black people, to make them see the logic that if you don't try to fix your own community, no one will. No
Yeah.
one will.
That's a
So yeah.
good question. Good homework.
So,
Brother
Brother Kel,
Kale.
yeah, we're gonna have homework, Brother Kel, but do you have any kind of like rough ideas, or is it something we should, as an ongoing
Yeah.
homework, we will come back to?
What have you thought of, Brother Kale? You must have thought of a particular chant. Can you match? The white man is the devil. The white man is the devil. 6 words. That's what the Nation of Islam used to say. What with the modern version? Yeah.
Brother Kel might be writing it down, so he looks like he's away. But when he comes back, we'll let him have his say. But yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
those
think
in the forum, go on.
yeah, I think something along the lines, because I was on a stream with Born Rich earlier on this morning, and we were talking, and the conversation moved when I started to speak about Neely Fuller's illustration that we've got to see ourselves as in the prison, and then he started to think that he said that there's some black people, just black guys just come out of prison too, that he's working with, and thinking of doing a podcast, and he was inspired to think, right, how they've just come out of prison, how can they directly mirror prison life with life outside of prison, as a way of illustrating white supremacy. So in prison, you can earn money in prison. Yeah. So we could use that as a way of illustrating that you're even though you're earning money and you got a job, and you're not in prison, you don't perceive yourself in prison, but it's your work, the job that you do, in the system of white supremacy is just like earning money in prison. And politics, when you're trying to get political power, it's the equivalent of trying to get political power in prison. So, for example, they might have monthly meetings where the prisoners get an opportunity to speak to a prison representative about how the prison budget should be spent. Or would you like us to spend a budget on, so different things. So you're trying to influence how the budget is spent in prison, and that's the equivalent of politics,
right?
And then we talked about parties. So when you get into political parties, basically it's gang. A political party is a gang. So you have gangs in prison, and Born Rich was saying that the gangs in prison, so sometimes they try and get control of the phones, so they bully each other about who can use the phones, so yeah, so showing how prison life mirrors real life for non-white people, black people.
Right, yeah. So using that kind of analogy. Welcome, brother, and also welcome, brother. Wim. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for everyone. What are you saying, everyone? How's it going?
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks.
Right.
I was gonna say, yeah, go on, brother.
Go ahead,
go on.
No,
Go on, brother. Go on.
No, we're gonna ask you, brother Kel, that I think we asked before you disconnected that one of the homework is for us to find words that we can use to quickly synchronize and empower black people to be able to defend themselves from the bullying of non-black people when it comes to helping black people and Africans and so forth. But is there any kind of words that you would recommend that you think might be effective?
Yeah, most definitely, brother, man. So it's like, there's many words what the Pan-Africanists would use, right? But at the same time, I'll give you an example. This is not necessarily wording, but it's more visual. That one thing that we was taught, that if you can tap into your melanin in the sense of understanding what it means and how you can operate and what it represents, that whenever you're around non-African people, all you have to do is look at something melanated, right? Whether it be a black pole or something, and you can rejuvenate your confidence that way. That is how they used to be in ancient times. But you have to unlock that mind capacity of not seeking any form of approval of what melanin represents other than the way it's supposed to be. It works because growing up, my parents taught us these things, and you can actually be in a group or a room full of non-African people, and you can reach a level where you can just look at something melanated, whether it's one of your people or something that is a color, and you can restore your confidence. So as for the verbal, brother, you know, it's like certain breathing techniques, isn't it, that unlocks the mind. You know what Africa represents, you know what I mean, Europe, Africa, you know, they're opposites, you know, sun people, ice people, you know, there's so many ways. However, it's not for you to use it in a negative way. It's to channel the negative energy and deflect it with the positivity.
I'm glad you said.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that, because one of the things I would always say is, moving forward, we always want to be constructive and positive. And the reason is, just like that saying, what I said before, which was, don't mistreat non-black people, because one, it's not nice, and two, it will be used to undermine black progress. That's one of the things. Like, you know, we always do things from a constructive standpoint to help black people, because black people need the most help. But before I jump in, brother WIM, brother Wim, is there anything you've heard that you want to hear that you want to jump in on, as you've been the news guest?
Not quite yet. I'm just been listening recently, so I've nothing which I want to jump in right now. I was going to ask what the topic of the conversation is. It just white supremacy, or is it anything?
Well, basically, what we've been doing for you jumped on, we've been playing animated cartoons of from hip hop cartoon channel, about Brother Neely Fuller and Francis Cress Wilson, just giving quotes. And one of the things Neely Fuller was talking about was he doesn't recommend black people just hang around each other without having an agenda. Because if you don't have an agenda, many black people might be poisoned without knowing they're poisoned. They might do things that might be self-harming or community harming. So having a distinct agenda to do something is a way to minimize that poison from spreading. The other is just not to meet black people at all. And we'll argue, was that an extreme view or not extreme view? And I think Brother Cal picked up on certain other things that Neely Fuller was talking about and tried to add, like, you know, a question. One of the questions was, well, I'm going to paraphrase, but it was like, do you have, what defense mechanisms do you have to deflect or minimize when non-black people or white supremacists, whatever, do things to I guess to take you to deflate you or take you off your mission, or to confuse you when you're trying to help black people, whatever.
I was gonna make a comment. I don't know whether on that note about, you know, when we get together, we need agenda. I always think to myself, it's just me, but you know, when us as people get together, it's always about something serious. We're always so tense. It's never just like a chilled moment. I think I don't know what it is, but like, why is it that we just can't be around each other just to, you know, laugh and joke? You know what I mean? Just to have a good time, just to relax, just to, you know, talk about some good times. It's always about something deep and something philosophical, which, I don't get me wrong, there's a time and place, and I do like that kind of talk. But for example, if I was to go out with white people to a party, I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna get drunk. They're just gonna probably smoke. They're just gonna probably, you know, have a good time. You'll just see them go crazy, and they ain't thinking about a care in the world. Whereas when it comes to, like, I go to like a black dominated function, it can be cool, but it can be tense. I don't know what it is. It's like a different energy. Excluding the family sometimes, because when it's family, it's a bit different. But just in general, I'm thinking to myself, are we in danger now of not even liking just be around ourselves, just to be around ourselves? Because that's what I think we need to be first. Are we just happy to just be around ourselves? I think sometimes this is why people, you know, leave the so-called black community, because they just don't want to be around each other, just to be around each other. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
So Mr. Wim, did you Did you hear the bit where Neely Fuller was talking about how black people should avoid each other? Do you hear that bit from
I think I
earlier
just
on?
caught it. I know Raven mentioned it, but yeah, I just caught that. Yeah.
Oh, you did, right. So you disagree with Neely Fuller then? Because Neely Fuller says if you see a black person coming down the opposite side of the street, you should try and cross over. We should try and avoid each other because we're full of poison. Do you disagree with that?
Well, I see elements of that. So, for example, and this may just be social programming. So when you see a group of black lads, I see it different than a group of white lads. Is it programming? I don't know. So you're on guard. Now I don't cross the street because I'm like, I know what happens when I go down the street just by myself and I see someone cross the road. So I don't do that. But it's always a bit of you're on guard. So I see what you're saying. It's just, yeah, can we like unprogram ourselves by saying, no, it's all right to be around ourselves. But yeah, I see what you're saying though. I do.
Yeah.
But what is your position? Are you with Neely Fuller's position or?
Not fully. I see where you're coming from. I'm not fully on that in terms of point. Okay. I think there's an element of our responsibility in that.
Right.
We'd just like to welcome Sister Sankofa Rising. By all means, when you wish to jump in, you can, Sister, unless you have a question or a comment straight away. Welcome.
Greetings. Greetings. Rise up, all the brothers and the kings on the panel. Rise up, yourself, Brother Raven. No, I seen it come up and I just didn't want to miss it this week. So I jumped on. I have no idea. I only caught just a few, literally when I came in the back end, I just heard the brother talking about when black people come together, it's not as relaxed. You know, we're always in some deep reasoning. But the only thing I would say to that is I suppose that might speak to your subconscious in a sense that you are gravitating towards particular circles for a reason, but in a general sense, we party hard and not one pizza productive sentence can be spoken for, endless amounts of time. So you're just in the right circles. We party
too much.
Look at this way. We was in this supposed pandemic and we was locked down and we couldn't see family and friends and some people made that decision or whatever. But when that summer opened up, we came with our creativity and we got them headphone parties popping. They was in their numbers in thousands in some of the parks. So we ain't got no problem raving. We ain't got not a problem raving. So I would say your subconscious is talking and is saying that you're supposed to be in particular circles and having certain conversations. And there's balance. Let me tell you, the conscious community party hard. We like a good laugh. But there's work to be done consistently. So I think, you're supposed to be in them circles and develop certain conversation and reasoning and all them thing there. And when you really want a party vibe, you will find that. But you have to recognize a mindset comes with a strictly party vibe.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I didn't fully disagree. I did say that we do like to, but again, if I compare with like white people, they do that more often. I don't hear, again, this could be, again, like you said, my circles. I don't see white people have these deep conversations as much as we do. I won't have that. Even if I'm having a party, there'll be a conversation which just goes on to real issues. Whereas with white people, it just seems like, I don't know. I'm not saying that, again, it's all the time, but it seems to be more often where it's like it's more tense.
But it would be still in a general sense as well as African people. It will be because we're living the life we're living. White people are living their best life. That's why they can.
But even that's not true though. But even white people, I mean, this is another fallacy of white people living their best life. Some are, but a lot of them aren't. But for some odd reason, they can just shake that shackles off when it comes to certain events. So I don't
in their world. Unless they're literally homeless. I'm not saying that there's some of them that don't live in some appalling conditions below poverty. I suppose if that's the white people that you're talking about, then okay. But at the same time, in a general sense, they are living their best life. In a general sense. So they have time to, because the people that you're talking about that's living below the poverty line, they're not the people that you're talking about that are raving. So if we're talking about the people that are raving, the white people that you see living their best life, that's the reason why. Do you get what I'm saying? They can afford to live their best life.
White
They don't
supremacy.
have they don't have the mental constraints that we
Traumas.
have on them. They're not oppressed like we have, so their mind is free. They're fine.
I mean, the white people who I've known and who I've grown up around, a lot of them are working class white boys and white girls. And I'm telling you, I mean, again, I don't know their personal lives. Some of them I do, and it ain't roses and it ain't flowers and it ain't, living my best life. It's, hardships, it's kids, it's struggle, it's abuse. I do think we kind of put white people on a little bit too much of a pedestal.
Well,
so you don't believe there's such thing as white supremacy, then, Wim? You don't believe there's
I'm not.
white supremacy?
I'm sorry. Just to say, that's not me putting them on a pedestal. That's me saying we are living two different realities. So whether they go through abuses and neglect and traumas in life, that's not being taken away from them. But the fact that we have to, there's a space called sister space. Now, as women, somebody would say, well, all women are suffering under, sexual abuse and sexual violence. But if statistics going to show that as a black woman, my how police and how society responds to me when I'm abused and how society responds to a white woman when I'm abused is leaps and bounds different. We are living different lives. So you're balling like I'm balling because you've been abused, but you still got your support and my support ain't the same support. Look at a white woman got murdered by a policeman the other day, and people did come out and do vigil and all that. Police did rough them up. Big inquiry.
And to be fair, I'm gonna answer you the reason why in answer to IC3's question about white supremacy. Now, do I believe in white supremacy? Yes, but not how people see it. So I know this. White people should cater to themselves. So in a white-dominated world, they should be the ones who they care about the most. So the reason why I think you talk about Sarah Everard Sankofa, that's the woman who got murdered by the police. Of course, white people would want big inquiry. That's a white woman. Like, we should care about ourselves if a black woman got killed. So when I hear white supremacy, I just hear white people are doing what every group would do if they had the power in the world, which is take care of their own people first. Why wouldn't they? They dominate the world throughout with its violence or technology, innovation. They should care about their own people. They should care about their lands. That's how it should be. I see white supremacy as just white people have got, who are number one right now. That's how I see it.
No, but there is that element, but it's how they got to number one. And yes, of course they should think about themselves. We are black people. That's what we're screaming. Kuchijaguli are self-determination. We want to do for ourselves. Can you leave us alone? Can you stop raping us? Can you stop kidnapping us and brutalizing us? Leave us alone. We are begging for it. We've been fighting for it. So the question is with them. That's not an us question. We've been quite vocal in wanting our self-determination and our autonomy. That's why we talk about Marcus Garvey. That's why we talk about Kwame Nkrumah, who we have. That's not even up for debate. But again, you caring for yourself, that's fine. If you're saying that it's fine to abuse people in your mission of caring for yourself, now that's a different conversation. So unless you're saying that you agree with their tactics, you agree with their mythology,
well,
you agree with their psychology.
I'll say this, and this is just history. I don't think there's ever been an empire who can rise up without a form of oppression, pressing another person.
Form of oppression.
A form, yeah. Even if you look at back in the history of Africa and a lot of African tribes, they were warring against other African tribes. They were oppressing other African tribes.
Yeah, that's why I said a form of oppression. True, what the European has done is not a form of oppression.
What would you call it then?
If books would use words as barbaric and inhumane, this is not a form of oppression. when someone's culture has been systematically I can't even say beaten out of them, because beaten is still a kind word. Beaten is still a kind word. If you just read 3 sentences that talks about stringing up a pregnant woman, and each horse has an arm and a leg, and they rip her apart, or hang her and cut open her belly and step on her unborn child. This is not oppression. This is not servitude. This is not a war over a little piece of land, and you still got your name. When we're warring in Africa, you're still who you are, you know. Baba Tunde is still your name. You still know who you come from. You still speak your language. You're still in your yard. Oppression is not, brother. Oppression is not the word.
Okay, brother. Let Brother Cal speak. Go ahead, Brother Cal.
Brother White Matters. Have you heard of Dr. Claude Anderson? I'm sure you have, right?
Yeah.
He makes it perfectly clear, right, in the chain of economics. He says that when it comes to the non-Africans, as it pertains to the Europeans, it says because of our unsynchronized behavior, they can make anyone be classed as white. And then he says that anyone who can be classed as white are able to have access of wealth. Then he says they can make anyone minority to capitalize on that wealth. Then he says that they can capitalize on the culture and then religious business. Now, the counteract for that, what he said is that African people need to practice group economics, right? And formulate a business. From the business, the money goes into paying politicians, whether renting them or buying them. After that, he says you can buy the police and the court system. And then after that, you can dictate by buying the media, you know, making our agenda known on television, radio. The point is, brother, is that there's 2 different dynamics, right? The non-Africans, brother, they can laugh and get high off certain substance and drink Alizé and act all reckless because their system, brother, is catered for them. Whereas with us, when I see an African descendant, right, I have to look at them as intelligent, mental patients like myself. So it's always going to be serious, brother. He needs healing. I need healing. Do you understand what I'm saying in that? Whether we're playing the Xbox, he needs healing. I need healing because the Xbox can make you become unsynchronized. So it's always going to be serious, brother, because of our situation, as what Sister Sankara says. Our realities are different. It's catered for them to be able to be reckless and have something put for them. They can go into other countries, brother, whether it be in the Middle East, wherever it may be, and they're okay. Whereas for us, we can't do that because when we go in these countries, brother, we're suffering. So there's a different power dynamic, brother, which is why we have to always be serious when we're talking, or due respect.
Now, before you jump in, brother, we've got a new guest. Is it Goj or Goji? Or Goj? Brother Goj, is that right? Welcome.
Salute to the panel. Just read it like you see it. GOJ.
GOJ. Okay, GOJ. Welcome, brother.
There you Salute go. To you. Salute to the panel.
Thank you.
Hey, man. What's going on?
So, brother WIM, you would like to add to what Brother Carl said there, Brother Carl?
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I do, and I this is why, again, in part, when it's talk about white supremacy, that's what I was saying. White people have set up a society that caters for them. I think the only issue is going back to my pedestalizing white people. There's a huge classism in white people, in which if you are aware of the nuances, white people aren't always they are suffering under, you could argue, white supremacy. I see so many homeless white people. I see so many people there. Now you could argue they're white, so we just think, oh well, you know, you probably got a cousin somewhere who can give you a job, or a brother somewhere. But the other thing I was saying is the way how we put it, the way how we shape it, it makes it so. So I hate how we make it like the boogeyman, as if we can't. I don't know. We can't move. We can't breathe to the same extent. Maybe it's just how I see things now, which I don't completely discount it, but I just see it as probably something different than what.
Let me ask you a question. So, when Black people and African people are trying to find solutions, why do you think you are concentrating on the plight of non-black people or white people? Why the dynamic of pain in their society is now a topic for us to discuss? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's not for me. It's not that, but to answer your question, I think it's just you're not the only one going through pain as well, which it sounds ridiculous, alleviate some of your pain. You see what I mean? If someone else has pain and they're able to shake it off by having a good time on a Friday night, you can also do that to your benefit. You see what I mean? So sometimes I think how I see us is because we're so bogged down with all the, again, white supremacy, all the issues. Again, I'm not saying we shouldn't help our people. I'm for that. It's just we get bogged down where sometimes we just need to shake it off a little bit and detox. Because
let me say this to you, and obviously people have different opinions and different lifestyles and stuff. But when you're describing the European letting themselves go and stuff, you describe like the taking of drugs, the taking of alcohol, and just being out and about.
Binge drinking culture. Friday nights, you see it. Binge drinking culture. White people sprawl over the place. You see all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is, though, the issue is, Brother Neely Fuller was talking about a poison culture, right? And I'm talking about how destruction has been normalized. Now, everyone has the freedom to do what they want, but I'm saying that in the people who I'm seeing as who have culturalized pain, culturalized destruction, and also have a high level of self-hate, and they're not synchronized on any form of betterment on any kind of long-lasting terms. I don't the drinking and binging and getting high culture out on a weekend. I can't see how positivity can come from that. From a mass of people who are just unsynchronized. So you have one person who's low self-esteem, one person who's violent, one person doesn't know knowledge of self, and if they're all engaged in this kind of behavior, plus there's this distrust. That environment might not be the best environment for people of African descent or black people. I don't know. Would you reckon I'm wrong there, or maybe I'm just not onto something?
I agree 1,000%.
Right. Now, this is not me saying people can't have a fun time and whatever, but I'm saying that one thing we have to realize is if we look at the mainstream music in America, Canada, and England, right, of people of African, black people's music, many of the stuff that gets very popular is actually anti-black, right? As in, it's about harming, self-harming, undermining black progress. Yeah.
But sorry, can I just cut you in a little? Sorry to cut you. Can I just say something before a point sort of using my mind? The only reason why I say that is because one of the main topics I'm sure you're all aware of, what gets discussed when we get together, is always about relationships and obviously the dating app piece and all that kind of other stuff. And one of the things which, if you listen to black men and what they say, is one of the reasons why they date out is because black women aren't fun. And these are kind of things where it just leads into it. If we as a people are bogged down and we don't do general stuff like, I don't know, hiking or horse riding, it sounds daft. It sounds, white, whatever, but it's just general stuff. You see what I'm saying? We look to white people to get out of our pain. That's why a lot of these things we do. People say white flight. I think there's something called black flight, where black people leave the community to go to a white community because, again, we perceive it to be easier, stress-free. We go to white partners. Why? Easier, stress-free. They have fun. They know how to let their hair down, so to speak. All these things are one of these things which, if we don't check it ourselves, we lose our people because of these things. That's all how I can really.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned it because these are things we want to be tackling. But once again, what you're describing is, in one sense, it's like someone is going from a destructive, hard place to an easier place. But when you break it down, it's actually the opposite, isn't it? If you're a black person integrating into a non-white family, ultimately that isn't an easier survival for you because your economics is going to be shattered. There's no guarantee that the European or the non-black person is going to respect your culture. They're going to have a history where potentially they could have owned your ancestors, and that's always interesting. And also, any kind of wealth, second or third generation wealth they have, there is a slight chance that it was on the backs of people like you. So this is a very interesting thing for someone to integrate. But what I'm saying is, when Neely first talking about a level of poison, we don't even recognize poison. Like, we don't really recognize it. And the reason I try to make it very plain with the music is like, yes, you can go to a club where you're drinking a poisonous cocktail, you're smoking a poisonous substance, and the music you're hearing while you're doing this stuff is saying, I hate black women, I hate black men, you're stupid, let's kill each other. Obviously, the more creative way, right? But this is what it is. And I'm saying that entire thing has been normalized, right? and now we are looking to maybe Europeans as a great solution. But once again, the people who own the music labels and stuff, who stop people from making songs about harming Jewish people, harming Asian people, whatever, they're the ones who are letting things go. While we are, rather than come together and focus on black economics, so we can have black actual labels that have principles and codes of conduct, so we can minimize this kind of stuff, and also maybe have certain kind of campaigns where we try to change the nature of how people club. So clubbing doesn't necessarily mean self-harming. Like I said, there's certain cultures that might not be in our best interest, and binge culture might not be, considering the fact that there's so many young people who do so much damage in their 20s. So by the time they're in their 30s, they're very they're very hardwired to be pain ridden, this kind of stuff, right? So what I'm saying is, but the moral of this story is us not recognizing harm. And everything you said there, in some point, some philosopher can rewire and say it's a form of harm. You see, and it's like when Brother Carl was talking about using words and read things to change our way of thinking. This is what it is. Like, how do we highlight harm? Like we said that historically, the Navy Islam said the white man is the devil, and the reason they said that is because they wanted black people to become completely non-dependent of white people, and they knew that the word devil will make them go, I can't be the devil. That's dangerous. But they're also using the metaphor of like all the things that a devil will do to you is very similar to what the Europeans at the time were doing to black people. So right now, today, we pick our own punishment. Back then, it was forced upon us, but now with a certain level of so-called freedom, we pick our own punishments. So I guess in the rebranding purposes, how do we highlight that where we identify that this is our own punishment? If black people confidently say that we don't like black women, right, that is a form of punishment. If you because the black woman is the other side of the coin to the black man. So I don't know how easy life can be when you are moving away from that reality of the primary way of producing black people. You see,
and I agree, and I like the word. Agree. Sorry, I'll let you come in, GOJ. Sorry, the rebranding part is kind of you put it in a nutshell, because even like the word black to a lot of people, they don't like it. There's some conversation where people don't like to be called black. I'm thinking the reason why is because they hate the word, because there's so much negative connotations with, I don't know, black male and all this kind of the black market. There's always so much negative connotations. We can rebrand these things to stop making it out like we're just struggle and grief and blues and that kind of stuff. That's kind of where I'm at with things. It's just but yeah, I think you used the word rebranding. It's a perfect word.
Well, yeah, just add to that, and others can jump in. Let me not hog all the time. But when it comes to rebranding, one thing we say is we use the term black as colon. It's got a star next to it. But that black could be synonym for Africa. Synonym, I said that. Synonymous with African. It could be with black or more. It could be with any word that talks about collective Aboriginal peoples of the African.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. They just don't like it. They hate that word. That's all. They want, if it's Africans, use African. They hate that word. But yeah.
Yeah. So here's the challenge with so-called black people or Negroes, right? Is many from my observation, many who are self-defeated are looking for any excuse to do nothing. And the most easiest way to do nothing is to undermine even the speech you use to get you motivated. So if you call them African, I'm African, I was born here. If you call them black, black's a color. And actually,
that's right.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to actually just undermine progress, but not in a direct way where they're just like, I hate black people, I want to destroy black people, right? And you'll notice that when I go to Speaker's Corner, a lot of that happens. And that's why there's a certain harshness that I push forward. And I try to train that harshness. And the harshness is actually, if you just tell them you actually are not part of what we're doing, but you're welcome to be if you follow these rules already, they now have to earn a certain kind of status to be stepping next to us. That's why I use terms like elitism. I identify as the black elite, but the difference with my elitism is in order for someone to join me, they have to actually want to. That's it. You have to want to help black people, value black love, value black economics, and then you are part of the black elite. You don't have to be born into any kind of wealthy family or anything. So that way, any black person can practice, but they have to show the one hardest thing that many black people struggle, and that's actually dedication. So many black people have struggled with dedication. We're joining a new member. Oh, hold on. Can we join this? Oh, guys, We've got a brother, Robbie Blue, who wants to join. Can anyone drop out for a second while they drop? Is it okay? Let's. Who dropped out? Was it sister? Sister, we want to come back, but the sister. Oh no, she's not gone. So who
Brother
dropped out?
Kel.
Brother Kel's a team player. That's why he's got a gold medal. Brother
Should I
Robbie
drop
Blue.
out? Oh,
No. Brother Kel,
Oh,
he's doing the
oh,
man.
peace. How you doing? Nope, I didn't know that somebody had to drop out. If somebody had to drop out, yeah, I wouldn't have come on.
No, it's okay, brother. Anyone who's new, brother, we try to be. We don't use the word fair, but we try to be balanced. Sorry, yeah. And if you're new, you might have opinions, or you might want to learn something, have a question, and you're welcome. And we're gonna call you. Is it Robbie Blue Economic Freedom? How would you like to go by?
Robbie Blue is fine. I'm from. I know IC3 is familiar with me, and Brother Kell is familiar with me. I was just listening, chiming in, and I'm actually about to place an order real quick with some food. So if I put the mic on mute, I'm gonna be right back with you in, like, I don't know, 5 minutes.
That's fine, my friend. That's fine. Brother Kel, if you want to join, there's still one more space because brother, I think it was brother who ends with a G, GOG has left. So there's also space. But while brother said, brother, we can go back to, and feel free, brother and sisters, jump in if you want, because we are taking a good point here, and that is, how do we operate? How do we work in a way that motivates Black people to be constructive? And this is a very important kind of strategy. But at the same time, how do you recognize actual time wasters? And that's important because some people, that it's their dedication to actually time waste. Brother WIM, I don't know if you want to add on to what you're saying, but that was my answer to your question before everyone dropped in and dropped out.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. And again, I did like the words that you're using, so no, it did make sense. It made sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think words are important. And one thing I try to teach on this broadcast is because you'll find it's because I do a lot of public debates. You find a lot of people who enjoy the concept of just having a back and forth of bouncing for hours and hours. And what we want to do, we want to have very sharp, precise words. I guess similar to what Brother Kill was saying, where you can literally get back to the point of hand and also separate the mice from the men and all that kind of stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's what you want. And one thing is, if you have a person who's trying to be unsynchronized with what you're doing, the power is now in your hand to let them go, isn't it? To let them know that they are now other. They've othered themselves. Right? Because ultimately what you're saying is you recognize Black people are struggling and you are the brave one who wants to do something about them. And then someone's now trying to other you. They're trying to other the situation and add complication and confusion. So then you oblige to that and you go, okay, well, brother, you're welcome to be part of this, what we're doing. But until you uphold these principles and you list the things that are most valuable to that campaign you're doing, isn't it? You know what I mean? And you ask people, what's your views on Black economics? What's your views on Black love? What's your views on this? Right? So, but to
pressure,
move back,
I was going to say there's a lot of pressure that comes with a lot of things, which I think another reason why I say a lot of I would say Black people just jump the ship, leave the boat, just because there's so much pressure. We want athletes to speak on our behalf when it comes to issues. We want all these people to do this kind of stuff. What are your viewpoints on it? A lot of pressure.
There's no pressure, brother. Yeah. Welcome, sister, back, and she can jump in when she likes. But what I would say is this: you kind of need to. I think one of the problems I'm observing with Black people is the concept of value. Yeah, you have to value something, and how you value something is as a marketing campaign. You make it valuable. Brother IC3 wants to speak, so go ahead, brother IC3.
Yeah, I'd like to address Brother Wim's point about entertainment and letting your hair down. And Neely Fuller addresses this point. I kind of agree with him that we must find enjoyment or pleasure or fun in the work that we do. You've got to find it in the work. You see, so rather than the white supremacists, they can hard on white supremacy, and then they let their hair down on a Friday night and get drunk and all over the place and relax. Okay, but the impression I get is that no, for us, that they can do that, but we can't afford to let our hair down because we're at the state of war. We're in a state of war. You can get shot in the head. You can't be letting it do because it doesn't fit. So all your fun, you've got to find fun in the mission, in the work. Whilst you're building, try and bring fun and enjoyment in the work, but it cannot be letting our hair down. The exact opposite, because we're the masters of partying and music and dance. That's what we're masters of.
This is it.
That's my point.
There was one.
I had a question.
Are you back, Robbie? Yeah, go ahead, Robbie. Go ahead.
This is just my question in general. Maybe you guys can answer this on the panel. If you're a regular, everyday layperson, say someone who works at Walmart, or you're a school teacher, or you're just, you're somebody who just has an average job that's right above poverty level. You don't really have a lot of power and influence over other people beyond just say your family, right? And your vote in the community. What can a everyday person do to combat white supremacy or contribute to, being on code and you know what I mean? Saying like, what are a list of activities people can do or organizations people can be a part of? I think that's usually people's biggest question in terms of like, okay, well, what is being on code and what is combating it? Because somebody might say, after I get done paying all my bills, I'm lucky to have $200. You know what I mean? And in a real practical way, what can people do to be effective?
So what I tried to do, I tried to have tangible steps, right? And some of the first tangible steps I put forward is wherever area you're in, take all the numbers of the constructive Black people you know and put them in a social group or WhatsApp group. Try to form networks amongst yourselves, connected by apps. Right now, it's like you always want to utilize where you are in time. And the reason I say that is with these apps, I would have themes. So it'd be like economics, health, self-esteem, history. And what you're doing is every time people get information, they're feeding that information to people. But also every time they need something, so if they need a painter, they need a farmer, whatever, the first point of reference is in that group. Yeah, that's like a start. That's an easy, tangible first anyone can do. Yeah, and you create networks with the area you're in. That's one thing.
What's the name of that app? Are you saying that that's an app that you utilize, or that's an app that we should develop?
Well, so that good question. It's a two-part story. Right now, we can use the apps that's available, right? So you're in America, so you have access to WhatsApp. That's a phone by phone number based app. There's other things like enhancer, this kind of stuff, whatever. But networking stuff where you can join networks that do particular things. So this group is for how to take care of children. This group is how to make food. This group is how to build self-esteem. This group is highlighting the injustice of Black people, whatever it might be, right? This group is for economics purposes, and you connect digitally, right? And in that you're building. So every time you need something, you go there first. What will happen is you'll then start creating a community of people you get there, and then from that people, this friend will tell this friend will tell that friend, and you have a code of conduct in that group. So the rules are very simple. Black people helping Black people on Black issues, yeah. And you have you must be constructive, can't swear, can't do whatever kind of stuff, right? This is for me in the digital age the first step that I see actually have outcomes that are in the benefit of Black people. Then you have different steps. So within that group, you establish who are the power movers, the people who can actually really make a decision because they might be wealthy or have time, whatever it might be, right? You then form what I call a fellowship, yeah. So what I'll do is I've got this thing here. So sorry, I'm just going to click on this. So let me go through. So this might be your first time. So I think it was this one. I hope it was.
Yeah, it's my first time. Sister Tash actually referred me to the channel.
See, so what Sister Tash is doing is important because she's creating networks, and that's why she's a very important sister. And she's creating networks, and now she's made you know me. So if there's anything constructive that I have, I can give to you and vice versa, right? And you're in one part of the world, I'm in another part of the world. So we're using digital technology to link, yeah? But here's what I'm saying. Basically, this whole podcast, a live cast, is about a concept known as Black Betterment. And it's a lifestyle where Black people help Black people, or African people, or whatever name we want to call them, right? We actively look out to help us in every single area of activity, but we do it in a constructive way. Yeah, we move away from error-prone behavior to high-principle behavior. Now, once you establish that people who practice that lifestyle, right, who are dedicated to it, you form fellowships, meaning you put them, they come together in a kind of like committee that is dedicated to do one thing. So that one thing might be they make a media channel, or they might make a business, or they might make an educational online thing, or a school in a certain area. But it's people doing tangible things. But what I'm saying is that there's levels, right? And there is like confessions people have to be. So here's a chart here where we have error prone or high principle. We always want to be in the high principle zone. So if someone is harming, stealing, swearing, and out completely out of control, even though they might want to help black people, there are a black betterer who's an error prone person. So they can't necessarily hang with the high principle because they're going to compromise each other, right? Right. We focus on philosophies and templates that can aid black people. But the most important thing is this: black betterment is black people helping black people on black issues for betterment, and this is a lifestyle. And the reason why we have to declare it, because if we don't declare things, non-black people can easily influence black people to not do anything that's in our best interest. Because unfortunately, subservience is a skill that we've picked up very, very easily. And so we have to have dedicated combatants for that. And that's what we use this show for. But the idea is, this is just one show. The idea is other people will see this show and they'll make their own Black Betterment show dedicated on the same stuff, using the same kind of principles, right? So in here, we uphold the 4D values when we talk to black people. And that is discipline, dedication, discernment, and dignity. Yeah. So by this kind of thinking, yeah, it might come across as robotic at times, but what happens is you're training yourself to be dedicated to help black people, our people, right? And this is a long-winded way to answer your question, but these are tangible steps you can do today where you will get results. So the 2-day step is you get your phone, you get your WhatsApp phone, yeah, and you make a group called Black Betterment, whatever, and then you have a theme. So Black Betterment Health, or Black Betterment Economics, or whatever it might be, and then you add every black person you can and go, here's what I'm doing, just so you know, and this is just for this thing. You have rules, and then you go there for every single thing. You stay connected to black people. That's the first step. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, I'm actually pretty impressed, and you seem to be a very intelligent brother, and that's pretty concise and it's practical. So I think that definitely is something that that people can utilize as a blueprint, to at least get the ball rolling using the existing infrastructure, and finding people who are like-minded.
Yeah. And because how the goal works, by all means, others can jump in as I speak, but by following a certain kind of guideline there, where you start on level 1, you move to level 2, because everything is always black focused. After a certain amount of time, you're going to find, for example, in these networks, you're going to have a UI designer, a UX designer, a programmer, a graphic designer, a motion designer, a sound engineer, a copywriter, and you realize, well, hold on, we've got all these skills. Why don't we just actually make our own app that is just for this purpose, right? And then you're going to think, well, how are we going to fund it? Well, actually, we've spent all this time with a network of 6,000 people. We've got the creative team to make it here, and we've got the funders there. You see, but what I must stress is, because black people are on the ropes in most things in life, you cannot betray black people. You cannot betray black people, and you cannot con black people, because the legacy of Sting will last for so long. So that's why one of the most important things you can be is constructive and high principled and very transparent. You cannot be error prone. You cannot have a history of conning or mistreating or abusing, because that will be used as a stigma to not support black people. And black people are very, very cautious about not supporting black people. If you don't believe me, if you follow me on Speaker's Corner as I debate, you will see many black people who, with the utmost pride, will tell you, I don't trust black people, and they want the world to know this. Yeah. So this is what we're reversing.
Now, you're actually correct, because just recently, a few months back, there was a brother trying to raise money, a brother in Florida named Othel Wallace, who was being charged with, killing a police officer, or should I say allegedly killing a police officer. And the circumstances around it are real suspect, but he raised about $60,000, but he needed more money over time, because the police officer eventually passed away and so forth. And I was very engaged and I was trying to donate and do all these different things. And you're right. What ended up spoiling it all is some people who got involved that really just wanted to control the resources and they didn't care about him. And then when they couldn't get in control of the resources, they just started sowing seeds of division and distrust till the whole thing dissolved. And unfortunately, it's like the brother never really got the support that he could have gotten because you had people putting out misinformation.
Right. Yeah. And by all means, if anyone wants to jump in, please jump in now. But one thing, unfortunately, and I think we tackled this earlier today when we mentioned Francis Cress Welskin and Nina Junior Fuller. And what Francis Cress Welskin was saying is, on TV shows and stuff, she doesn't recommend too many black people go on one show because they might be prone to fight. And Nina Fuller says, don't meet up with other black people without a plan because you might poison each other. And what I say is, we are very easy to be easily hurt and then literally destroy 5 years or 10 years of another woman's work, right? And what we need to do is we need to realize that we need to calm down and like, yes, we might not agree with certain things, but let's highlight the things that work and are constructive and not try to sabotage every single thing when we disagree.
Do you know what? I was gonna add to that, because the political landscape I've been seeing now is, you ever realize that beforehand, black people used to really be on the left when it comes to talk about our issues on, major TV news like BBC News, ITV, etc. But now, I don't know if you've seen this, but you have black people on the other side who seem to be warring on mainstream media, and you could argue on white mainstream media. So I want to know your viewpoints. Do you think that's something we should be doing in front of the world, like Black Lives Matter movement? There were people who disagreed on that. When it comes to the tearing down of the statues, people disagreed on that. And what's happened is they're pitting black people against black people, which I'm like, I can understand you have a disagreement, but is that the right approach to do it in front of,
no,
on black people?
And by all means, jump in. Don't let me hog the whole mic. But me personally, go ahead. We got brother IC3 and I think brother Blue Ribbon. So IC3, jump in. Say what you're going to say, brother.
Yeah. Good question. So, in the construction of a black nation, a black entity, a black state, a black sovereign entity to get reparations, you have a state has internal affairs and external affairs. Yes. So if a successful black organization, if they have disagreements within the organization, they're not going to air those disagreements in a white supremacist world. It's going to be handled in internal affairs. That's how white supremacy, that's how any organization works. So you've got to handle internal affairs. You've got to create an internal entity. So are you with us, or are you out there? So if it's internal affairs, you will then know, look, we're not going to hang our dirty washing out in the system of white supremacy for them to mock and use it to sow division.
I think someone else wanted to answer that. Who is someone else wanted to also add the input?
I just wanted to not the last question, but when you was breaking down your solution to how we build, and and your previous conversation, we were talking about the importance of words and how we use words, and that was a wonderful example of that, because essentially you just spoke about we need to organize and we need to develop organization, and we've got so many leaders who's giving us the black print for that. But you've as we're supposed to, seen the resources of today, seen what is needed today, what we have before us, and done it in the exact same way. The balance I would bring is that and I think Brother Kelto spoke about it, that we are an extremely traumatized people. So healing has to be simultaneous with the building, because we all have good intentions and we all want to, I want to get involved, like the brother Robbie is speaking about. You know, people want to see how they can get involved and but when that momentum comes down, or not even comes down, alongside that, you are still who you are. You still have your life. You still have your issues. You still got the things that you deal with. How the community is supposed to answer these problems. So when we're talking about organizing a lot of the different departments that you're talking about, it's information. What is the information? That's the next stage of it. So when we get together, we're not just passing information for information's sake. We're creating institutions that serve us. And some of them institutions, or all of these institutions, have to have a level of healing within whatever we're developing. Because that's why it's so easy for us to tear each other down. That's why it's so easy for us to have these conflicts, because our interpersonal skills is been trashed, and we are sensitive, and we don't. And every time we talk about organizing, because of where we're at this present time, we're not dealing with how we're relating to each other. So we keep talking about these gender wars. How can people organize if they got gender wars? What is our conversation as adults about our sexual interactions as men and women? If we're going to keep talking about organizing, this is an important conversation, because these relationships are the reasons why some things are destroyed. So
that's right.
We have to have that in the forefront of our brain when we're talking about when we're talking about building these things, building institution. We have to think about how we relate to each other. So when we're putting down our policies, that's the other thing I was going to say. When we're putting down, our how things run here, it has to be. There's a level that, obviously, that's what on a basic level, that's what it has to be. But it's when we realize what we're dealing with, it has to be more than that. So for people just to get together, like when Corona happened and people started doing food drives and stuff like that, this is easy work to get together and just, you pick up this, you pick up that, But then as time goes on, like I said, people's got lives, people's got situations going on, and someone responds, snappy yesterday. How do we address what's going on for that person while that person is trying to engage in the work? Do you understand what I mean?
Could I respond to that?
Yeah.
The whole time what I'm hearing, is that a sister?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, because you know how people can get offended these days. You were like, "Is that a sister?" Somebody, hey, wait a minute, bro. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? And here we are talking about gender, right? Forget it. Anyway, what I was trying to say was, the whole time when I heard the sister talking, I was thinking about the colonialist. Like when they first came over to America, there were several colonies that fell, but then they kept going until they had something succeed. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, you have to just get started. The idea and the concept will evolve over time. The country that was constructed under the Constitution 200 years ago is not the same country that exists today. We're humans. We evolve. We adapt. Information changes. Technology changes. So we can't be intimidated by, I guess you could say, the goal at hand and what the end result may be. When somebody starts chiseling a sculpture, they just have a block of clay there. And I'm pretty sure there's times they make mistakes, and maybe not everything will come out ideally like they intended for it to be, but just somebody who's just sees it for the first time, they're going to say it's beautiful. So I think if we give ourselves permission to be human and just don't make excuses to not get started or to do what we can do, that's the best way to go.
Yeah,
I agree, and I think with many black people, passion and being organic is what starts things. When things start growing, it's important that beforehand and during hand we have, I would say, rule sets, and this is the management of expectation, because unfortunately, some of our brothers and sisters come from so many different walks of life that managing people's expectations is key, and sometimes having certain rule sets of what the institution you're doing as a form of protection for people, so people feel safe and stuff. And that's something that I do when I come to organizations. I do put up codes of conduct, a way to interact, and things we recommend to do and things we shouldn't be doing. And also, unfortunately, many error prone brothers and sisters, because of years of being error prone, their passion and want for change steers them to be many leaders in any kind of institution that's trying to resurrect change on a collective level. And this is the thing, like the error prone ways cannot continue in a collective organization. And that's why at a certain point, identifying what could be error prone behavior and correcting it or limiting when you come amongst other people, right? So it might be something as simple as, in this organization, you don't drink, meaning you drink in your personal life, but when we have meetings, we won't allow alcohol. Not that we're against alcohol or anything like this, but what we're trying to do is we understand that some people who are in an error-prone lifestyle might actually be alcoholics, right?
Right.
And even though the average person might not be alcoholic, by just allowing alcohol in there, then certain things could happen which we never predicted, because we're all judging a world of how we are in our day-to-day, not knowing there are many error-prone people who are completely different, but they want to contribute in some kind of way. So that's why rules are important.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying that as the organization grows, that would have to deepen. That would have to get more in depth in terms of.
And the reason I say this before brother jumps in is because I'm helping behind the scenes on many black collective groups that are in the hundreds, right? And they go from the hundreds to the tens because of an incident that maybe two people did that we didn't really jump on, and then that has a ripple effect. Like, if your organization allows this kind of stuff, I'm gone. And
Right.
I've seen it so much. So that's why with me, every time I join a collective, the first thing I do is a code of conduct, and no one likes the code of conduct. No one. They all hate it because this is one of the things that maybe I'm right or wrong, but what I find
Too rebellious.
Well, it is, and this is something I want us to review. Maybe we could do a show about it. When it comes to working in non-black
100%.
institutions, people can respect certain codes
They
of
sign that contract quick.
Yeah, but when it comes to working in black collectives or African collectives, they want everyday freedom. So if they drink and smoke and womanize, they want to have this kind of lifestyle, this ease of lifestyle in what they're doing, and this is the problem you find. So for me, it's like we have to have a certain level of discipline and establish what high principle behavior is when it comes to working amongst ourselves, and that might not be fun. There's a chance that I've never had fun at Speaker's Corner. There's a chance that nothing I've done has been fun in it, but I don't go to Speaker's Corner to have fun.
You know, one thing with the white supremacists, their code was birthed out of necessity because they had a impending sense of urgency and a need for survival. Like I said, before things got comfortable. I think the issue and the challenge that we have, like I tell people all the time, excuse me, when you get off of a panel like this, and maybe an app like you're saying, you know, is helpful, but in terms of just tangible people you can touch, people in my immediate vicinity, a lot of people can't understand the abstract concept of white supremacy. Like, unless they deal with it directly, it almost reminds me of the virus. If there's not a high viral load where they're under constant attack, like under like Trumpism or a belligerent white supremacist, they feel like it's bearable. It's like the prison isn't that bad. So what I'm saying is, what I feel like is, that's why in a way I want Trump to get reelected, because I feel like as the heat is turned up, that instinct, that urgency, that fire, and that need is going to come in for our people, because you can no longer, pretend like you have a comfortable cell. You can no longer pretend like white supremacy is this abstract concept that doesn't affect everyone. And I think that's the challenge, because like I told Brother Kill all the time, I said, bro, when I talk to other black people, sometimes I have a hard time getting them to understand that white supremacy is even systematic. Everybody just bases this off prejudice. They're like, well, not all white people I didn't say all white people are prejudiced. You know what I mean? You're forgetting about systematic white supremacy. So I think
that's right.
Once the the rank and file white supremacists come with more of their vitriol and hate and abuse, I think it's going to wake our people up. That's why our people wanted to get out of slavery, because they had no choice. There was a sense of urgency to get free. It was a sense of urgency to survive because the conditions became unbearable. Right now, we're comfortable, man. We got internet. I just ate some Wendy's, chili. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? All I need is a white woman, the Bible, and some Jesus juice.
No, that's it, man. That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Living a good life.
Well, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, for me, it's about the complete rebranding of what we're doing. And what I mean by that is this: right now, people might only want to operate because they see danger. But the rebranding is to culturalize betterment, meaning that right now, the Europeans are on top, and they're not necessarily being pushed off, but they still maintain power. So it's like a cultural. We have to have a marketing strategy, yeah, where a black man loving a black woman is a good thing, where black people hiring black people is a good thing, where when they do it, you feel something, like you feel like, just like some people they feel very cool that they're not listening to a mainstream music and they got some underground thing. We want that same kind of feeling and pride in doing things that are engaging black people to look inwards. So that's the branding technique, right? It used to exist automatically before, but because of like the mainstream stuff and certain kind of behavioral patterns or whatever, the opposite was now marketed. So, for example, if you watched a music video from the 80s and 90s, every woman in there would be of African and black descent, right? Now it's like more multicultural, to the point where the black woman's being completely pushed out. So it's like we need to trendify. We need to make anything where black people are helping black people trendy. And sometimes we have to use reverse othering, where when someone isn't synchronized like that, like we other them, innit? Like once they other themselves, we agree to that and we set the benchmark and we say this is the benchmark. But we do it in a way where it's the edgy thing to do. It's the, you know what I mean? And we have to use language to make a person feel foolish. Like if we are here talking about helping the most mistreated people on the planet, and a black person comes and is completely unsynchronized and they talk against that, we need words to really make that person feel foolish, to the point they have to go, you know what, I take that back. I take that back. Right? That's the goal.
Right.
I totally agree. That's another thing that is missing. Why I said that rules or codes of conduct would have to become more detailed, because the lack of accountability,
yes,
is ridiculous. So, we the society that we're in, it's an individualistic society. So no one takes responsibility, no one takes accountability. Let's say the biggest thing at the moment, the people that prime minister is partying and telling everybody they can't go outside. So no accountability. All right, everyone can go outside. All right. It's over now. It's finished. You get what I mean? So we've taken on these type of thought patterns, and when we are, we're vexed for something and we start creating devastation within the organizations, there's no structure to hold people accountable for their behavior, because sometimes sometimes there are people that are going through life, and now I'm the age I am, I can say, right, I've seen somebody grow through life and no one's really held them accountable for their actions, and they've just been allowed to manifest into this person. So we have to find ways of holding each other accountable for our actions. So we make example and know that that's not tolerated here, because again, in white society, you do certain things, that's it. It's not tolerated here. We have to, back to what you were saying earlier, in terms of value, we have to value the institutions that we're building. And we have to let people know there's levels of behaviors that's just not acceptable here.
Well, let me add to that, because a few weeks ago we had a sister called Sister Afro on the show, and what she was doing is she was finding some of the women from Brixton and other surrounding areas who were abused in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but the abusers never really were held to task. and she did a campaign where she just she highlighted all the abusers and what they were doing, and then inviting the victims on to give their testimonies and stuff. And this was something that we should be calling for. Like, it's like we stay on the side of high principle, right? As in, like, we either support women being abused or we don't. That's what, there is no in between. It's like it's either okay to abuse women or it's not. If it's not, then we do something about it. So this is the way I think in all areas of activity, right? It's like it's okay. It's not okay. We understand that certain people might be drug addicts or drug dealers or whatever, right? Now, there's many systematic reasons why a person might go that. But what we can't do is say that this is okay. Yeah, the idea is we have a clearly defined way of high principled and error prone. So that's why we have exercise on here where we will show images and we ask the audience, let me see if I can switch it so you can see the charts. Hold on. Is this behavior error prone, or is this behavior high principled? Right? And that's a discussion I would like us to have, because when we clearly define what is error prone and high principled, then when we form rules, there are certain people who can join because we synchronize on our own value system. You see?
But this is what I'm saying. To talk about a value system, how do you, when we're building institution, when we're coming together, then we have to have sessions around what is our value system, what is our shared value system. Now, the situation with what you described with the sister, people as a community, where are we to stand up and say we're against sexual abuse? What am I gonna? Yes, if it's just to have the community stand up and say that, 100%. But the traumatized community, when we stand up and say that, then what? And then how do we stand up and say that? Like, we have nothing in place for what we're trying to do, if that makes sense. For the work that needs to
power.
To happen.
That's right. Leverage.
This is what I'm saying. So it's like what is even our understanding of what is abuse, really and truly in its full form? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and I say that to say, when it's outright, rape is rape. No, let me start again. Actually, child abuse is child abuse.
Yes.
Pedophilia is pedophilia. That's outright.
Yes.
After that, now, as a community, where are we with our understanding of it? I say that to say, we have created a lot of gray area. So we have blatant abuse that we're hiding in our families, or we've suffered and we don't know how to do that healing. And then we've got another set that is what we see as cultural norms, and people just do it, and we don't see it as damaging in any type of way. So where is our measurement?
And that's very true. And I think, this is where the China blind.
Sorry, 1 second, just so I don't lose my train of thought. I say all that to say, when we what the sister is doing and has done is very commendable, but if we know the mindset that we have collectively, then there's a level that she should have had an understanding that a particular response was just not going to come, because we have no. If it hasn't come for a lot of other things, it's not coming for that. If it hasn't come for Windrush should have been the African Caribbean community in this country should have shut London down for the Windrush. There's a lot of things that's happened we haven't shown up. We're not going to show up for that because we don't know how to respond right now. So
I have one thing that I wanted to chime in and say that I hope it doesn't deviate from the topic too much, but I think it's something to consider. Maybe you guys have discussed it before. When I look at the current system that I'm in here, If I go to a stop sign and I run it, or if I break the law, or if somebody's a pedophile, or if somebody does something that has behavior that is not accepted by the tribe, well, they just don't have laws, codes, and ordinances. They have enforcement of those codes, and there's individuals that are tasked to do the enforcement. And I think when it comes to these codes that we talk about in an abstract manner, we need to start having tangible people and wings of an organization that enforce it or are willing to enforce, because once something becomes real and tangible, we're very visual people. I mean, we what is it, we communicate by processing light and sound, you know what I mean? And especially black people, we're not followers, but we do kind of got to see it to believe it. That's kind of just how we are with our faith, right?
Mhm.
Because of what we've been through. So I think not necessarily someone popping up as a militia. I think the Black Panthers had a little bit of a blueprint. That's why the U.S. government got so scared, because
Yeah.
they were presenting themselves as, hey, we're not just having philosophical belief, we're willing to enforce code in our community. And I think if you find a way to translate a message, like you say, through propaganda, media, through persuasion, and then people feel comfortable seeing people policing in their own neighborhood. And I don't mean policing just like for law enforcement. I'm talking about like code enforcement to influence the culture and for people to actively be involved in the community wanting it. I think that that's something where you'll really have a lot of headway. Now you have something that's like a living cell that just needs to multiply.
Yeah, Robbie, we
But you
had
see what came
we had
before that though? The breakfast programs and the healthcare programs. So that's what I'm saying. The working and serving of your community, because it's going to still be hard to trust people, like you said, who just come up in that way. But the Black Panther Party had a whole heap of programs just serving the community, and the community was serving themselves because it was the community that built the Black Panthers. So these things have to be simultaneous, but the community do trust when they see you doing the work.
Well, that
Yeah.
brings up a very interesting question. What are some areas that are being neglected by the state that we can fill the vacuum for? You know, now
Right.
they
That's
do
the
have the
question.
breakfast. You know,
Yeah.
what are some things we can do on a grassroots level? You're like, you know what? They're not doing it. Like right now, let's say with this online teaching, there's a need for teachers and educators. There's a need for
100%.
people who are babysitters. There's a need for people. Some of these kids aren't getting a home cooked meal. You get what I'm saying?
We have the answers. We know what to do. We know what to do. And people are doing it. But if to make it on mass scale, we know what to do. So you just what you said, you're not gonna be the first person to say it or the last, and people have done it and doing it. But on them, we know what to do. It's just about answering the needs of your people. Answering the needs. We have a need. We need childcare. We need educators. We need to build our own schools. We need to develop healthcare system. We need to develop welfare system. We need to develop industry to develop. And we know what we need to do. But it's about how a bit back to what you were saying. You know, Trump coming back might, I don't know, bring a wave of something. But I think we have to be going back through a cultural revolution. We're in the time of ideas. That's the war, and knowing that we're at war. I think that's the biggest thing actually, that we don't realize we're at war. We think that we're missing out a little bit, like not to get at you, brother. Why I am, but yeah, it's just about having a good time and just
Well,
living it up.
to add to what you guys are saying, and this is why I write the way I write, I think personally, this quote here, after much research, I've unfortunately concluded that currently black people are collectively inadequate. This is a summary of everything you're saying, put in a way that can offer not necessarily shock value, but just urgency value. And I think I think that for me is a philosophy that could be very effective as highlighting that black people currently are collectively inadequate. And the motivation behind this kind of way of speaking is the same equivalent as when a person goes into a sobriety club and they go, "My name is Jimmy and I'm an alcoholic." By saying that and admitting it, it means that if they don't do anything, they're going to remain in peril or just completely diminish. So by admitting that quote, it's like it validates every choice made. So, for example, if I say the black man should be with the black woman, whatever, right? Whenever the kickback and the kumbayas come in, I can, yes, but you do understand that we are collectively inadequate, right? You do understand this. And one way to not be that is by having some of the basic stuff of black man, black woman. When I say black economics, it's like, but shouldn't you not do it, trade with everyone? But hold on. You do understand that black people are collectively inadequate. So these are the codes of conduct. These are the words you use, I use personally, right? That actually creates urgency in the mindset of the people. This is why I use.
Right. That's good. That you can see how that it's like short, sharp, effective slogans, like Brother Kel was saying earlier on. Chants. It's got to be sharp, and powerful and short.
So when people say, why is it that you're having a Black Love campaign? It's because black people are collectively inadequate, and we need it. It's just that simple. It's like if a person then tries to fight down you admitting your collective shortcomings, then they are automatically highlighting their objection to your complete betterment from a very vulnerable And so these are the tools I'm pushing for in the community. That might be hard to adapt at first, but through what I've been using and getting through, very effective, very effective, very effective. Well, family, we are now 12:41, and it's been a great show, and we've had some new guests. So if we could, everyone have their last say, and that would be great, and we can get ready for next week's show. But any last messages from the last three guests?
Just give thanks for the reasoning. Big up everyone on the panel. And I look forward to the next session.
Definitely.
Same here. Fantastic. It's been a good show. Thank you for putting it together, because it's always difficult. It's always hard work to organize anything. Organization is heavy, heavy on the mind and the body.
All right, guys. Until next week, Black Betterment. Hopefully you join next week. And don't forget, if you want to promote your shows, let us know so we can support each other. Until then, Black Betterment, thank you very much. Goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.